Everything's fine. All right. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Cinderella podcast, where we watch and review every Cinderella adaptation we can get our hands on, discussing the same story over and over until we rapidly go insane. I'm Liv.
And I'm Talon, and today, to my incredible displeasure, we watched Rags, made in 2012, which we're calling the Nickelodeon Cinderella, because it was a Nickelodeon original movie.
I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't realize that Nickelodeon made films, and I'm now in terror at what else Nickelodeon might have produced as a film. I'm frightened to my core. Guys, this was real bad. I was kind of hopeful because this had some actors that I was familiar with, and it was like a gender reversal, and it wasn't completely Caucasian. I was excited about that, and this movie let me down in every possible way.
So it starts in New York City, and we get a voiceover. And we're not told who's doing the voiceover, but it's not our main character. It is done by Drake Bell of Drake and Josh fame, and he's the fairy godparent role, but he doesn't actually do a whole lot.
Nope.
And he's very awkwardly shoved into the movie. And also, the movie seems to think that he's like a very cool, very hot guy, but it's just an aging Drake Bell.
Yeah.
So the voiceover goes, New York City, one of the most magical cities in the world. And we're getting like a lot of shots of the city, and a guy is skateboarding through it, but we're mostly focusing on his speed and the fact that he's skateboarding. The fact that he skateboards will never come up again. And there's actually a scene where he asks how he's going to get somewhere and is given a bike instead.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's a new thing I'm mad about. Anyway, one of the most magical cities in the world where fairy tales seem to be possible no matter who you are. And then we're introduced to Charlie, who's not your typical Cinderella. And also, there's not going to be any pumpkins or mice or anything like that. We're not a regular Cinderella. We're a cool Cinderella.
We also get the most beautiful subtitle. The subtitle says, majestic orchestral music. It is not. It is neither majestic nor orchestral. In fact, it barely qualifies as music. It is.
It has some instruments in it.
It has instruments in it. My notes have bink, 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 sparkle music.
Yeah, it's just not great.
Majestic is definitely not one of the words I would use. So we get all of our information about our Cinderella in a voiceover real quick. His name is Charlie Prince because that's clever, I guess. He has a stepfather whose name is Art, short for Arthur. His mom is dead. His mom used to own
the
Palace, which is either a diner or a nightclub or a jukebox place or a Pizza Hut. It's unclear. I don't know what this place is.
There's definitely a bar with a bartender, but they also cook food. They also have tables that people can sit at, but there's also a stage and they do karaoke, but on specific nights, it looks like.
The floor is the black and white checker floor that you get in a lot of Waffle Houses, and everything is in pastels, the way you get in sort of 50s diners. So, including like the food, which is like milkshakes and, pickle and grilled cheese sandwiches. So, this is an extremely confusing venue. I don't know what it is. But we find out that he has two stepbrothers. We don't get their names until later, but their names will be Andrew and Lloyd.
Lloyd is tall and stupid. Andrew is short and mean. And they both wear like matching tracksuits every time they appear. And their hair is spiked straight up and it's very, very blonde.
They're visually identical. I could not tell them apart for love or money.
I couldn't tell them apart by any visual cues, only by their mannerisms, in that one would say something stupid and another would be angry at him.
Yes.
And then we get the first moment in this movie where I was like, I'm definitely in for a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
Because then the voiceover goes, wait, and there's a record scratch.
Yes.
And they're like, I gotta tell you something about Charlie. Charlie has a gift for music. And then we see him playing ukulele outside and rapping, kind of, while people break dance around him.
In pastels. In bright pastel colors. And, like, sweater vests.
The song is all about, like, his dreams. He can't wait for that someday. It's coming. He's going to share life with someone who loves him just for him.
Yeah.
And then the narrator, Drake, played by Drake. His name was Sean in this, but I only have him in my notes as Drake.
Yep, that's fair.
He comes in and he goes, in the voiceover still, I'm no fairy godmother, but Charlie has a dream and he needs someone to hear him and open a door. He's like very into Charlie in this whole movie, and it's played not organically at all
No.
because Charlie like sings fine, but it's not that great. But Sean like is stopped in his tracks and is just watching him and tips him like a $5 bill and is like, keep it up, man. Next time I see you, you better be on an album cover. Who knows, maybe one day you'll be as famous as she is. And just then like a bus with a pop star drives past.
Yeah. This is going to be our Prince character. Her name is Katie Worth. She is a
It
big
sure
pop
is.
star. Her dad's name is Reginald Worth, and they run Majesty Records because this movie hates you and wants you to suffer, and they couldn't come up with an original name. I'm surprised nobody's last name was Gold.
I'm surprised the dad wasn't named King.
I mean, to be fair, he was named Reginald, which means king.
Okay, yes. Okay. Yes,
I'm
I'm
keep
on board.
I'm keeping that. I'm not editing that. Oh god. So we cut to Katie recording a music video. She's wearing a gold spandex big shoulder thing. I have early Lady Gaga costume, and she's doing a weird pop song called Love You, Hate You, Hate You, Love You, Hate, 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 Love, Hate.
That
Is
is
that
not the title of the song.
it?
It's like, I love you so much, but I hate you so bad, but I want to get back together. She's got like backup dancers also wearing gold, but they're kind of like half harem pants, half leggings.
They're great. They're MC Hammer pants. She's got a couple of dudes in MC Hammer pants that are bright, sparkly gold, but the pants also are joined to a like a leotard top. So it's a spandex t-shirt type bright gold. It's absolutely bonkers. And in the middle of this record, there's a remix that happens, and then the remix goes crazy and it just starts doing like bet 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 bet, and it takes a while to figure out that something is in fact wrong because music is so bad that it is unclear that there's been a computer error as opposed to, oh no, it's supposed to sound like that.
I
I
think
have in
that
my
was
notes,
only unclear to you. I think it was very obviously like music skipping.
it seemed like it was unclear to some of the dancers for a little bit longer than it should have been.
I don't think it's so much that it was unclear. I think it was supposed to be a big reveal that she's lip syncing and that the dancers didn't know what to do and just kept dancing.
Sure, I have in my notes that she's dressed like C3PO.
Okay. So when the track starts skipping, the producer, whoever, is like, what's going on? And then we see Sean, the guy from earlier who was hyping up Charlie, be like, oh, working on it, boss. So I guess he's like producing it. We find out later he's their audio guy.
Mhm. We then just get some exposition about our various characters. Katie is mad that she has to wear all these incredibly uncomfortable clothes. We meet Irma, who is the high fashion couture image mean lady who is super in love with Katie's father in a very creepy way and is mad at Katie for having a dog that is a normal sized dog and too big to put in a purse.
That is basically exactly how she says it as
Mm-hmm.
well. The dog's name is Trumpet, and he's roughly hip height to Katie, who's played by Kiki Palmer, who I usually really like and was disappointed in.
Yeah. So the first part of this movie is really rough because we never get to see a single scene. Each scene will cut between Charlie and Katie approximately 15 times per scene. So if it sounds like we're jumping around a lot, we are.
But the movie did it first, so blame the movie.
This is the movie's fault. This isn't us. We would have loved to given you a cohesive storyline.
Oh, I have so many notes about what would make this a better movie if you streamline it and cut away like half of the plot elements,
This is
which I
this
will be talking your ear off about later.
Oh, yeah, no, this is not a terrible storyline in theory. It would be better if it wasn't kaleidoscoped together. So we cut back to this pastel diner. We get more information. We meet more characters. We meet Martha and Diego, who work at the Palace, this diner nightclub place. And we establish that Arthur, the mean stepfather, has run the place into a ghost town. And then we cut back to Majesty Records. Katie's dad, Reginald, shows up and gives her a hug, and Irma's like, no, you'll get wrinkles. We find out that Katie wants to sing her own stuff and that Trumpet is getting into shenanigans by chewing on a microphone. We do get a great line about her gold outfit, which she despises. Irma goes, "It was designed by Gigi Lestrange." And Katie goes, "What about Gigi Lenormand? Gigi Le clothes designed for human people." I thought that was a pretty funny line.
I
I
thought it
smiled.
was cute.
Yeah.
Another key point that we get from this interaction is that her dad's not letting her write her own songs because he's buying her the best songwriters money can buy
Hmm.
in order to make sure that the new single is going to be a hit. And then his phone rings and he has to go. They're announcing the talent search today.
Hmm. There is going to be a talent show that is weirdly anticlimactic.
Yeah, the talent is lacking. Oh, also the way that Irma expresses her affection for the dad, I'm never going to mention this any other time she does it because she does it almost every time she interacts with him. But
Hmm.
she just tends to say whatever the last thing he said was at the same time as him to have some sort of weird brain twins kind of jinx
Yeah.
moment. But
Yep.
she just like, he starts saying a sentence and she jumps in halfway through and then says it really fast so that they can end it together. And then she looks at him adoringly. It's incredibly annoying, and I didn't notate it happening any other time other than this because of how often it was.
It was a really bad running joke. We're going to have a category in this season's wrap up of worst running jokes.
I don't want that.
Well,
I
because
don't think we need that.
I think we do, because I think we have to categorize this.
I think
I,
you can learn to control that impulse and just, break away, be free, be who you are.
nope, you're not getting out of this.
Okay. Um so then we're back to Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie's singing.
He sings the worst song, and I believe it might be part of the same song he sings throughout the movie. But a lot of the songs in the movie were very bland, and until I heard like a specific keyword from the title, I was not sure that they were the same song.
Yeah,
So don't take my word on this, I guess.
yeah.
But the song is like, I follow my dreams. You think they were nightmares, the way they scream. I'll make them believe. Just like very kind of rocky vibe where he's kind of half screaming with passion.
Yeah, he's also doing this while cleaning the empty diner, nightclub, Pizza Hut place. We cut back to Katie, who's looking at some stuff for, I guess, outfits that she was going to wear to this event, and she's like, "Wait, hang on, these aren't the ones that I liked." And then she sings a song about how she hates the song that she's singing. And then we cut back to Charlie, who's still singing, and then Art comes in and stops the song blessedly. I really hate Art. He's really mean. But he
They gave
does.
him like a weird sleazy car salesman vibe. So he's got like this crazy mustache and he wears these really patterned shirts tucked into his pants with his stomach sticking out in a paunch.
It's
He's
very
just very sleazy like.
it's very 70s. It is the worst of the 70s. It's deeply uncomfortable. He looks like he's about to cry half the time.
He might be. I think he hates his life.
I think he does. So here's the thing. I really hated Art, but he did show up and interrupt a lot of songs.
Oh.
So I didn't want to give him points back because he is really mean, but like he did make a lot of the music stop happening. So
You know what else would have made the music stop happening? Like
turning the
just watching a different movie.
yeah, different movie. Have you seen Encanto?
I did. I really liked it.
Me too. Let's talk about Encanto.
Okay,
So
so we open with
no, no, we can't do it. I want to so bad. We haven't described
okay.
how anybody looks. So Charlie is boring looking. He's sorry. He's got kind of strong cheekbones and a strong chin. He's not very tall. He's kind of skinny, muscular. He's got dark hair and dark eyes and sort of thick eyebrows. His face is at least big enough to fit onto his head,
Oh my
and
god. Okay.
so like I guess we're moving in the right direction. I
He's
think
played by
he's
Max Schneider, if that means anything to anyone. Apparently, he's like a singer, songwriter, actor, and model now.
sure, if you say so. He is sort of portrayed as this sort of scrappy Brooklyn dude. He's always wearing black leather jackets and like a fedora. Oh god. But most bafflingly, almost every time we see this man, he has a ukulele strapped to his back.
Yes.
All the
And
time.
to be fair, he does play it occasionally.
But he carries it with him everywhere he goes. I look, guys, the ukulele is not a sexy instrument, okay? I
How dare you? I
look
spent all of 2 months learning how to play a song on the ukulele and then quit before I finished, but it was very hot.
I am certain that your husband would agree with you. Um, Look, I also have a ukulele, and I have learned songs on it, and I love my ukulele, and it is great for if I want to go somewhere and annoy the crap out of a bunch of people, or get them to come to my stall by just playing the same three chords over and over and making up a song as I go. Because people will come to that. I don't know why, but they do. So I love ukuleles. I'm not running down ukuleles. I'm just saying that they don't ooze sex appeal.
I don't know. I think like a cute boy that looks kind of like a cool guy, but he's got a ukulele and he's like soulful. I like that archetype. I think that could work. I don't think it does in this movie, but I don't have anything against him having a ukulele.
It doesn't go with his scrappy underdog vibe, okay?
What do you think would have worked better?
Oh, a piccolo.
Oh,
Like a wind little instrument, little wind boop 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 doop. I think that would have been great.
okay, okay. So anyway, Arthur is chewing out Charlie for singing, and Charlie's all like, "But mom used to always let me sing while I cleaned." And he's like, "Well, your mom left me in charge of you, and also this dump." And then the lady walks in and is like, "Oh, are you open yet?" And Arthur, the stepdad, gets really excited and is like, "Oh, you're in for a treat. We've got an opening act for you." And then Andrew and Lloyd, the stepbrothers, introduce themselves as Android, and they come up on stage in again matching shiny tracksuits, and they do like a rock version of Cameo's "Word Up." That's the whitest thing I've ever seen.
They're matching tracksuits. I have them down as blue and yellow onesies.
Hmm.
Sort
They're
of
not good. They're not doing a good job.
they sort of look like race car driver outfits. They're like zip up coveralls but with pattern designs on them. They kind of look like that, but extra stupid.
And please remember at all times, their hair is very, very blonde and sticking straight up.
Mhm.
And the one other detail we get is that the two brothers are going to participate in the Majesty Talent Search.
Yes.
They're entering, and they are entering with the singing that they are currently doing on stage.
Yes, which is bad. It's not horrific though. Normally when we have step siblings being really bad at performing or something, the movie maker is kind enough to make it aggressively obvious to us. However, this is just not great until Lloyd falls over and knocks over the microphone. And then we cut to another scene because we were here for like a solid 90 seconds. Katie is getting out of a limo at a ritzy thing, and we meet her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend, Finn, played by Evan Georgia from, if you ever watched Victorious, he was in it. I get a kick out of him. I think he's very funny.
He is a hoot. He is my favorite part of this movie. His name is Finn. I could not help but think that he was just the character from Victorious playing a role because he has basically the same very floofy hair, but he's putting on a British accent, which is, not the worst British accent we've ever heard. It's not phenomenal, but it's fine. And he's just acting stoned the whole time. He's got a very Jack Sparrow vibe around him.
He's doing like a very Russell Brand kind of, I'm a stoned rocker guy wearing tight pants and a lot of leather and like eye makeup, and I'm like really into being adored, and I'm kind
Yes.
of oblivious and kind of self-centered, but like in a charming British guy way.
Yes, you have described him perfectly. He is my
Thank
favorite.
you. Oh yeah, no, I love him.
Yeah, they go to, I don't know, the place to get pictures taken, and the paparazzi say, "Oh, give her a kiss," and he kisses her on the cheek, which we were both like, "Oh, that's really cute. I like that he kisses her on the cheek." And then he goes, "Hey, could you move over so that like the spotlight can hit my cheekbones?" And then she just sort of walks away, and he just continues to pose. He was the best. I love Finn so much.
And then that scene is over. We don't know where they were going.
Nope.
They just walked past some paparazzi, and then it's time to go back to the palace where Charlie has finished cleaning and he has the rest of the day off, but his stepfather gives him Android's CD so that
Mhm.
he can drop it off. And his stepfather gets in a bunch of digs about how Charlie's so jealous and that how he's going to be cleaning their dressing room one day, and reminds him that curfew is midnight.
Mhm.
And then that scene is over.
Yep. And then we cut to Katie, who is leaving with her dog, who at this point my notes go, "Oh, this dog is actually pretty big," because we didn't see the dog in comparison to her earlier.
Yeah, it's a big dog. I understand where Irma's coming from, where she's like, that's a really big dog to have running around a set.
Yeah, this isn't even a mid-sized dog. This is a big dog. This is a large dog. This dog weighs at least 80 pounds. So she wants to go for a walk. She doesn't want to take the limo. And her chauffeur is like, "Oh, your dad won't like that." And she goes, "Oh, I don't think he'd like you using his Knicks tickets without him knowing either." And the chauffeur is like, "Okay, well, enjoy your walk then." Which is supposed to be cute, but is actually not that cute. I don't.
Yeah, like he might still get in trouble for letting her walk. Like there's a power differential there. I don't know. It's
I
not it's
yeah,
not my favorite.
I didn't like it. Anyways, the dog Trumpet immediately pulls out of her hands and goes and leaps on Charlie, who's right
Who's
there.
also walking towards that same building.
Yes. All of her stuff falls down, and a lot of it was like her personal lyrics, and gets some of it wet. And he's like, "Oh my God, you're you're Katie Worth." She sort of snatches the lyrics out of his hands and is like, "This is personal, bye." And then she leaves. Then
And
we're
that
done.
was their meet cute, I guess.
Yeah. So he comes in to deliver the CD, and the agent,
Well, she's a receptionist.
anyways, she's answering the phone. And Charlie comes in and she looks up and she goes, "Oh, are you here to apply for the janitor job?" And he's like, "Oh, a janitor job? Interesting. Let me sign up for that." And then he bumps into Sean, and Sean is like, "What are you doing here? I thought you were supposed to be on a CD since yesterday. Why
Hmm.
haven't you made your hit record since yesterday?" So Charlie delivers the CD, and
Okay, the way that the CD gets delivered is in their lobby. They have a giant glass case, like a big square box with a little opening in the top where you can slip a CD in, and all of those CDs are just in a pile
oh,
inside the
wow.
glass box. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, there's no way they're listening to any of those."
Oh my God, I didn't even see that. That's amazing. Wow, okay. So we then get another scene that's supposed to be cute but isn't. Charlie, having written down his name and phone number and literally nothing else because he didn't have time, has filled out this janitor application. And Sean leans on the desk of the receptionist lady and goes, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." And she sort of perks up and like brushes her hair back. It's obvious she has a crush on him. And he goes, "Do me a favor, make sure he gets hired." And she blurts out, "Will you go on a date with me?" And he goes, "No." And she goes, "Oh, I'll still do it." And he sort of winks at her and does like finger guns and walks away. I think they thought that I was going to think that was cute.
This is the moment in the movie that I realized what they were going for with Drake's character. Sean is supposed to be very cool and very hot, just like a cool guy that knows what's up and has an in and is just a big deal to everyone, is popular and handsome. And they hired Drake Bell to play him, and that's why it's confusing.
Here's the thing, I don't think that would have worked even if they had hired somebody who was really cool and attractive because it's a dick move.
What? She asked him if he'll go on a date with her, and he said no.
No, it's a dick move to film that. It doesn't serve any purpose.
It's supposed to tell us that he's very desirable. That's what I mean. If they had hired somebody that was actually like cool and radiated that energy, we wouldn't have needed this scene. They're literally telling us, look how cool he is.
All right. We cut to Katie working on lyrics on a park bench, and she gets accosted by a screamy blonde girl who wants pictures. And then we cut back to Charlie.
I just want to say that Katie's singing a song that's like letting go of whatever people think of me. I can stand out and break free. And this is the song that symbolizes her deep self that she's not being allowed to show to the world as a pop singer. The song is bad. Her voice cannot support her singing a cappella like outside.
No.
This movie does a really bad job of deciding when to let somebody sing a cappella to show that they're singing live versus when to put the backing track because it's a musical. And half the time it chooses to do it the one way, and half the time it chooses to do it the other way, even though they're literally singing in universe. It's very inconsistent.
It is, and it's really confusing. My notes get real shouty about it later.
Yeah.
But we cut from this 13-second scene back to Charlie. My note just goes somewhere. He's in a store with a piano. It sparkles. He starts to play it and is told to stop.
It's a pawn shop. It's called Bernie's. Bernie owns it, and he and Charlie seem to have a deal where he's making payments on the piano. It used to be his mother's. It was pawned by Art. We later learned that it was pawned for a karaoke machine.
Mhm.
So I guess the Palace didn't used to be a karaoke place when his mom was there, which Again, like what is it for? What was it
I
used
mean,
for?
you can have the stand-up night, like a lot of bars have amateur night.
I fundamentally don't understand what the palace is supposed to be. So, in the Cinderella story with Hilary Duff, we had a very clear delineation between what the diner used to look like
Mhm.
and what the stepmom did to the diner and how it was
Yes.
terrible and tacky. And I wish
Yes.
we'd gotten like a clear idea of the way that Arthur had run this place into the ground.
Yeah, that would have been really handy.
Just unclear. Like a lot of things are unclear. Anyway, so the amount that Charlie pays down is $9.57. It appears to be what he earned when he was
But
rapping over the ukulele in the park. And then he starts
wait,
playing.
hang on.
Oh,
Hang on.
he sold. You're right. You're right. There's a really funny line. Remember, this movie was made in 2012. There's a line where Bernie is like, well, at this rate, your Moss piano will be yours in 2021. And Liv and I both went like, oh, so he'll have it by now.
Yeah, we were like, "Great. That's not that long. He's got his piano. That's fantastic."
And then Charlie goes to play the piano a little bit. Never mind. Sorry, wrong. That's not when that happens.
No, that is when
Uh,
that happens.
no, that is when that happens. Great. You okay? You ready?
I'm good. I'm good. It's fine.
So Charlie goes over to the piano and he starts playing, and Bernie helps him, and they both sing like "Oh oh 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 whoa," and the song is about the store, and one of the lyrics is like, "It's like a party at the pawn shop," and then Charlie just leaves and goes on the street, but the song keeps going, and he just starts tap dancing with some random people that followed him out of the shop who also tap dance with him.
Yeah. So I have a couple of notes about this song. One of them is this is set in New York, and a couple people have a strong, or at least a recognizable New York accent. But here's the thing: if you pronounce pawn shop in a New York accent, it does not sound like pawn shop anymore. And it was uncomfortable because it's not a pawn shop, by the way. It's just a thrift store. Like, I get
Well,
that he's
it's
making payments on
clearly
this thing, but it's clearly a thrift store.
no, it's clearly a pawn shop because
It's
they refer to it multiple times and they're acting like it's a happy place to be, but people don't sell their things in pawn shops out
no,
of like
oh no,
excitement and happiness.
okay, no, I'm sorry. Pawn shops are like clean, brightly lit places full of counters that have people's watches and rings and stuff. This is an old house with a spiral metal staircase and like a moose's head on one corner and a piano and random stuff. So I recognize that he is paying money for this thing in installments, so it is definitionally a pawn shop, but it is 100% a thrift store.
Let's split the difference. Let's call it a consignment shop.
Okay, great, sold. We also then get the line, "Nothing gets better than this," and my notes go into all caps and says, "Yes, it does, because the song will eventually end." And during this tap number outside BT Dubs, Charlie is still wearing a black leather jacket with a ukulele on his back. In case you thought that he was not wearing a ukulele, I wanted to make sure that you had a good image in your head.
He also wears a lot of fedoras. And I feel like by 2012, everyone was pretty comprehensively over fedoras because I got mine in like 2008, 2009.
Okay, but they were still okay back in like the aughts.
No, I think everyone was like off fedoras by 2012.
2012 is no longer in the aughts.
Oh, okay. So we're agreeing with each other.
Indeed, indeed
And
we
I
are.
don't know what things are called.
That's okay. So Katie is back on TV. Oh no, we haven't described Katie
I
at
said
all.
she's played by Kiki Palmer.
Okay, well, I don't know who that is. So Katie is a lovely black girl. She has sort of straightened hair and she has soft features, but like a strong chin. She wears just like jean jackets and skirts and stuff, but in like a fancy way. She has a lot of eyeshadow that's kind of a bizarre color. She's pretty. She has a nice speaking voice. I like her speaking voice a lot.
She has a very sweet voice where when she talks, she sounds like very personable and charming,
Hmm.
even though the acting is really flat.
Yes, her singing voice and her speaking voice, uh, they don't sound the same. I'm not saying they're not the same. I'm just saying they don't sound the same. Her speaking voice is much more pleasant than her singing voice. Where are we? Because I tried to edit my notes by like what song we were on, and that didn't go well.
Okay, I'm just on Kiki Palmer's Wikipedia page. Apparently, she has a studio album. She played Ella in Cinderella at the Broadway Theater for a year. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a studio album from 2007.
Okay. Well, I guess people like her then.
Anyways, where were we?
We're back on Charlie. Charlie has gotten this janitor position at Magic Studios, and he just walks into like the CEO's office, which is so dumb for so many reasons. Talon, do you want to?
Sure. So he's theoretically cleaning, but mostly he's snooping. He goes straight to this big shiny gold award and picks it up and starts doing an acceptance speech, thanks a trusty rag. Then he drops the award, fumbles, puts it back, and then he sees a photograph of Katie and her dad, and he's kind of holding it up and smiling. And then Katie and her two backup dancers slash best friends walk in, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And there's a whole back and forth about how he might have a fake ID. And he's like, "Well, would I use this photo if I was faking an ID?" And it's supposed to be a bad photo, but it's like a regular photo and it just looks like him and he's a very handsome young man.
Yeah.
But her friends are like, "Oh, yeah, definitely." And there's this whole bit about him being a bad liar because Katie's trying to get him to show her what he has behind his back because he's clearly acting suspicious. And
Mhm.
he's like, "No, I don't have anything." And she's like, "Well, just what is it?" And accuses him of being a bad liar. And he's like, "I have lied successfully on many occasions." And then awkwardly trails off because he can't come up with a lie about times that he's lied.
Mhm.
And I thought that was very cute.
Yeah, that is a running joke that comes back a couple of times, and it never hurt my heart. So I guess I liked it.
I liked it the first time. And then afterwards, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it. And then
But
Finn walks in and he's like, "It's Finn, your prince." And she's kind of like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "Oh, who's this guy?" And points at Charlie and asks him, like, "Oh, are you signed as well?" There's this whole bit where Charlie's like, "Oh, well, I'm the janitor." And you think that Finn is actively like bullying him, but he's like, "Oh, that's a bit of a lame stage name. Are you like a rapper or something?" Although I guess that could work. The janitor. The janitor. And then Charlie has to explain that he's an actual janitor. And Finn just kind of goes like, "Oh, well, that's great." And walks away. He doesn't seem mean. He just comes across as like very high.
he's just out of it. This kid is just out of it. He's on his own planet, and I love him. I love every single glorious hair on his head. He's my favorite.
And then he tells Katie that it's time for her fragrance launch party and that she shouldn't be late, and walks out and she's like, "I'll join you in a second." In this sort of commotion, Charlie puts the picture back and he's also gone. Katie and her friends have this conversation about how Finn is her boyfriend, but like in quotes,
Hmm.
and she's happy, but in quotes.
Quotes.
And it's because her dad thought that this would be like a really good career move.
Yeah, because Finn is also very popular, and they thought that them having a relationship would sell more records. This is 100% the plot from Elle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, this is the plot from Elle. I think it was a plot from something else too. This was,
It was also the plot from the one where Cinderella's a mechanic.
yeah, we've seen this before. It's dumb every time.
It is a real thing though that actually happens, so I'll accept it.
Oh, I mean, it's dumb in real life too.
Oh yeah, correct.
It's just categorically stupid, but it's okay. So her two friends, I only got the name of one of them. I think the dark-haired one is named Tammy.
I don't know. There's one with short black spiky hair who's kind of there, and then there's one with long blonde hair that's kind of dumb
Yeah,
and doesn't like it when they use quotes because it quote frightens and confuses her.
yeah, she's got sort of strawberry blonde curlyish hair. She's pretty cute. She's fun. I really wanted there to be more time with the friends because they seemed like fun.
Yeah, they were like, okay, I think for the sake of the plot, they should have been really like superficial and really not there for Katie to highlight the difference between what her life as a performer is like right now
Hmm.
and then like what her relationship with Charlie, sorry, spoiler, I guess they become friends.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's
And
fine.
how he's the only one that sees her for who she is. For that to be significant, she shouldn't have good friends, and these appear to be good friends.
Yeah,
Like they support her. She does some things later in the movie that she needs help with, and they're there helping her.
yeah. They sort of undercut the "I am all alone and no one knows the real me" through line of Katie's story arc, I guess.
Yeah, but I at the same time I really liked them. Like they were charming, and I wouldn't have minded if they had more screen time.
Oh, agreed. Yeah. So we go to the fragrance photo shoot. They get in like a perfume spray fight. Sorry, they is Katie and Finn, her weird British boyfriend. and they get in like a perfume fight where they squirt perfume at each other. And then we cut back to Charlie because this movie has ADD. Charlie is late getting home. It's after midnight. He doesn't want to go through the front door because Art's there. So he parkours his way into the bathroom window and then pretends to be a bathroom attendant as somebody comes out of a stall.
He does not immediately pretend to be a bathroom attendant. What he does when a guy comes out of the stall and sees a man in the bathroom, which, like, you can just be in the bathroom. You didn't have to explain that away. He's on the floor because he fell through the window.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts, like, scrubbing the floor with his leather jacket sleeve. And he's like, oh, missed the spot here, haha. And then when the guy gives him a weird look and goes to wash his hand, Charlie runs over to the guy, grabs a paper towel out of the dispenser, puts it across his arm like it's a towel, and stands by the guy so that he can take the towel off his arm. And it's weird and uncomfortable, and like it was a very like, remember, this is a Nickelodeon original movie. Hijinks.
It was an extremely bizarre moment because we got to remember this place is a ghost town that is a cross between a retro diner, a failed nightclub, and an empty Pizza Hut that is just a front for selling drugs, and a karaoke bar. And yet it theoretically has a bathroom attendant.
I mean, he's so obviously not a bathroom attendant that I don't understand why he went with that. Like, if he had been wearing a suit for some reason, and he had to cover up the fact that he's in the bathroom, and he's usually the janitor, and now he's in a suit, like, if it was any of that, but he's literally just a guy who happens to be on the floor of a bathroom. And, like, he can just be like, oh man, slipped, careful over there, haha, it's just water from the sink, don't worry. There could have been an awkward joke in there that wasn't quite that awkward.
That would have been so much better. What you literally just came up with, way better. Also,
Thank
fun
you.
fact, you shouldn't talk to strangers in the bathroom. No one in the bathroom wants to strike up a conversation with a stranger. The only exception is if you are a drunk girl at a party crying. You can come in and make brand new best friends, but that's it.
I will say, just if you are a drunk girl or a person who's using the women's bathroom and are also drunk and are surrounded by drunk girls, because I have also had that experience as a non-binary person.
Yeah.
Like, just immediate drunk girl bonding with you. It's very nice. I will talk to drunk girls in the bathroom for sure.
Okay, I feel like that's an exception to a very obvious rule, though. Never mind, we have to move on.
Can't we just talk about like meeting drunk girls in the bathroom and
No,
how
we
that
have to
friendship
finish
is
this.
so pure and so loving and just like so supportive?
Talon, people are listening to this because they want to find out what happens in this stupid, not swearing Cinderella, and so we have to go to the next part.
I think people listen to this because they like to hear us suffer, but that does leave us in the same place, so we should continue.
Okay. So we cut back to Katie singing now about mirrors and stuff and not wearing makeup and being the real her. And then we cut back to the studio records the next day, and Katie is now greeting Charlie very playfully, and they sort of, my note says flirt, question mark, question mark, question mark.
They banter about how her dog is doing, and he's like, oh man, I miss him. And she's like, oh, he misses you too. And Charlie's like, I think I'm falling for your dog. And then he kind of falls backwards over the trash bin and is like, ooh, someone will clean that up. And she's like, is it the janitor? And he's like, yes, it's the janitor. It's me.
And she sort of pats him on the shoulder and walks away.
And then we kind of skip ahead a little bit, and Charlie is cleaning the window of a recording booth, and he kind of peers inside and goes in, and the mic is live. So he's like, okay, and starts kind of singing at it, and he's kind of rapping, sort of, but it's more like a cappella singing, and it's like a party song that's kind of like, oh, tonight's the night, oh, here I go, having a good time, get your hands up.
Yeah.
And then we see that on the other side of the recording booth, Sean was asleep. Sean, the record guy, the audio engineer guy. He was asleep on the sofa, and he wakes up when he hears him singing. He's just like blown away by this crappy a cappella
rap,
not a song
thing. Yeah.
So he decides to, like, instead of stopping him, which he starts to do, but then he kind of hears some more and he's into it. So he hits record instead. And then he plays it back when Charlie stops singing with music. I don't know how he got backing tracks on it because it's Charlie's song. It's not like he's not singing a song
That it already
that Sean
exists.
knows of and
Nope.
already has the backing track to. But yeah, he just whips it up in 15 seconds and plays it back. And
Mhm.
Charlie's like, "Oh man, sorry, I was just messing you around." And Shauna's like, "Hey, how'd you like to try that for real?" And Charlie's like, "No, no, I'm just a guy with a rag." Sean looks at him meaningfully and goes, "You're more than that. You're a bona fide recording artist."
And then they make out.
They do not make out. But it was like weird and intense, and there was nothing that Charlie was doing that like made that make sense. And again, so here's my note on this. This would have made a lot more sense if what Sean was working on was not his creative passion. So it would have made a lot more sense if Sean was feeling like really creatively stifled and he had to make obnoxious beats for obnoxious pop songs that were just like the same three notes over and over. And then here comes this janitor kid who's fresh and cool and he's making real music and he wants an actual producer who actually has like input on the music. What I'm saying is instead of being like a cool guy, he should have been an audio nerd and he should have been like really passionate about music and that should have been their connection.
That would have been a much better movie. Yeah.
I don't understand how this movie bungled this relationship so badly because in almost every other crappy modern version of Cinderella that we've seen, this was the high point for us. The best friend who like supports them and is like on their side. I mean, like in all of the Cinderella stories, the best friend is always our favorite.
This is true.
So the fact that they had such an obvious blueprint for it and they somehow messed it up because they're both guys.
Well, so hear me out. I don't think that this was a best friend. This was the fairy godmother, which is why we didn't like him.
But he should have been a best friend.
Oh, he should have been a best friend. There should have been a best friend role because Martha and Diego, who take care of the palace, they fill the fairy godparent role. So I don't know
Yeah.
why we had to have Sean as the fairy god. Like, it didn't make any sense. I mean, I realized
No.
somebody had to like turn on the studio record because that CD is going to be important later, but it was dumb.
He should have been like an intern.
Oh yeah,
He should have been someone who was underappreciated, who had a lot of creative passion, and who was recognizing the same thing in Charlie and wanted him to get big because he recognized his talent. And instead, it was just like weird, and it was like, what is he getting out of this? Or he should have been like a hot stuff producer that is like, oh, this kid's my ticket to the big time. I'm going to make so much money off of him.
Talent, you have to stop making better movies because it's making this really hard.
Okay, I'm sorry. So anyway, he sings the song, but it's like now for real with more backing tracks, and he sings the song for a long time. And we keep getting like other scenes while he's singing, and it's even more disjointed than before.
Yeah.
So he's singing like, "Oh, having a good time, party, and get your hands up" song, and then we see him writing lyrics at the table at the palace, but then Art picks them up and like uses them to clean the bar table and ruins them. And then we see the stepbrothers dancing badly, and then we're back at the recording studio. And then we see Katie and Finn at a party, and Finn signs a lady's forehead. And then we see Charlie cleaning, and the vacuum explodes on him and covers him in dust. And he kind of laughs and giggles and uses the vacuum to clean himself up. And then he falls asleep while mopping the palace, and Martha brings some food, and then more singing. And then he shows the song to Diego and Martha, and they're listening to it on the headphones, and they're singing along. And then we're back in the studio.
How are they singing along? The recording doesn't exist. Is this a flash forward? Is this a flash sideways? Is this a flash back? Is this an AU flash? Where are we flashing to? Normally this would be like a memory montage or a this is also happening montage, but this is past, sideways, and future, I think.
Yeah, we're seeing things that are happening like throughout the week while the song keeps playing and we keep seeing him record. But then we go back to that moment because as soon as Charlie finishes singing that song that's being recorded, he goes, "Oh, can we do another? I have a ton more songs." And that's where that scene ends.
And Talon and I were like, no, you do not have
you
more
better
songs.
not. I wrote it out in all caps. I was like, no more songs.
Yes.
There were a lot more songs, just not in that moment.
Let me just read you my note for just 1 second. My note goes, Diego and Martha are singing along with him. Flash back, flash forward, flash sideways. Time travel. Why is he auto remixed himself in real time? Help me, Jesus, I'm sorry. Can we do more? I got a ton more. No. Please no.
And now we're back at the palace. Art picks up a letter and he calls his two stupid sons in and is like, boys, this is your ticket to the big time. And he reads the letter and he gets all the way to the bottom before he realizes that all of the nice things were just like, sorry, you didn't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very sad. Arthur is actually like super on board with his two sons' music careers, which is another thing that they did wrong. He should have been like anti-music, period, full stop.
Well, so we've seen this before with a bunch of stepmothers where they're super into their daughters' artistic careers or performative careers and very dismissive of their stepchild's interest in the same field. So this is normal. We've seen this.
Oh no, that part makes total sense in the context of the Cinderella story. It doesn't make sense in the context of him owning a karaoke bar that he turned into a karaoke bar like himself, but he also wants to sell it because he hates it and he's run it into the ground.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It should have been like a disconnect between like his mother being a person who loved music and Charlie's like so passionate about music and his stepfather should be like, no, go clean, this is stupid. But he doesn't think it's stupid. He thinks it's great for his sons. I don't know. I just think they should have streamlined the movie, man.
I mean, there's no argument I can make. However, I will point out that in this scene, both brothers do have bleaching foil in their hair. And at the
Yes.
end of this information that they have not made it into the talent show, Andrew says, "This is your fault," and starts to strangle Lloyd, who says, "You're my brother." And then Andrew says, "Love you too," and then the scene is over.
He says, "You're my brother. Love you." And Andrew goes, "Love you too."
While strangling him.
While strangling him.
He's got him in a chokehold.
Yeah. You don't have siblings. You don't get it.
Okay.
This is normal. This is fine.
Okay, this is fair. I don't have siblings. That's fine. So we cut back to Charlie walking around with a ukulele on his back while wearing a leather jacket. And we find out that Katie is stalking him in her limousine. You'd think that he would notice a limousine stalking him on the streets of New York.
No.
Nope. Mm-mm. This New York is a very drivable New York, by the way. There's never any traffic or honking or angry motorists.
It's a very boring New York.
Yep. So Katie's chauffeur again is sort of teasing her about like, oh, he's so dreamy. And Katie's like, no, there's just something about him. Katie follows him into Bernie's pawn shop and interrupts the song that he was starting to do, thank God. And then we get this bizarre interchange. Charlie goes, "Did you follow me?" And Katie goes, "No, I wanted more creepy stuff for my room." And then she's like, "Oh, this is a lame beat up piano." And he goes, "It's my mom's." And Katie goes, "And it could not be more gorgeous." And he goes, "Well, it was my mom's. It's not anymore." Katie's like, "Is she gone?" "Yeah. My mom's dead too."
No, you don't even, you missed a key moment.
Okay.
Because Charlie goes, "Yeah, she's dead. My stepfather used the money from the piano to buy a karaoke machine." And as he's doing this, he's like not strumming, it's a piano. He's like playing the piano a little bit. And she's like, "Well, why don't you let a pro handle this?" And she plays a little bit of a song on the piano. And then she stops and goes, "My mom died too."
That's great. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And she goes, "Well, I don't really wear the 'My Mom is Dead' t-shirt much anymore." And Charlie goes, "Oh, you have one of those too?" And they giggle about it.
And then she goes, "It's good to talk to somebody that understands." And he goes, "Yeah." And then they play and sing.
My notes go into literal keyboard smashing right here. So there's a couple of sentences that are just literal keyboard smash. This song includes the line, "I think we could be friends who finish each other's sentences. When I can't think of the right words to sing, I just say, oh, 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 oh." And then I realized that was part of the song that he was playing when she walked in, and it is a real song, which is how they can sing it together. I was really confused.
Yeah, it's like a real song within that universe that other people know. It's not Charlie's song, and it was requested by Bernie, so that's what he was going for when she came in and interrupted him. So they're harmonizing in theory. They're not like actually harmonizing.
Yes.
The song is called Harmonize or Harmony or something like that.
Something.
So then Charlie's like, "What were you playing before?" And she's like, "Oh, just my own song." And he's like, "Wow, so those were all your songs I got with the other day. These lyrics are great. Why haven't I heard you sing songs like this?" she's like, well, it's my dad's idea. It's not going to fit the brand, but someday I will. And he's like, no, today. Do you trust me? And she goes, well, ever since I was a little girl, my dad told me, Katie, trust the janitor. That felt really weird.
It felt
Um,
so weird. But then she goes, yeah, I trust you, in like a serious tone of voice.
right, yeah. But they make a lot of jokes about him being a janitor, and a lot of them are like really uncomfortable. Like, people are just really uncomfortable with the fact that he works as a janitor, and the movie is really uncomfortable with the fact that he works as a janitor. I'm like,
Yeah,
I've cleaned houses before, and like,
well,
it's just a job.
it's just a job
Like,
that
you don't
people
have to
do.
keep like reminding people that that's who he is as like a word that describes his identity. I don't
Yeah.
know.
We have an unhealthy relationship with maintenance jobs and people who provide fundamental services that are unglamorous, like garbage men and janitors and plumbers, etc. But
Yeah.
here's my thing, movie. You knew this about yourself. You could have given him a different job. You could have made him the water boy,
Or like an intern.
or like a paper carrier, or a dog wrangler. Make him her dog wrangler, because clearly the dog needs someone to pay attention to it so it doesn't start chewing up microphones. Have him wrangle her dog.
Or literally just stop having characters make jokes about him being a janitor, because every time somebody tried to make a joke about it, it felt like really weird and uncomfortable.
Agreed. So they leave the store. Bernie asks awkwardly for an autograph for his kid named Bernie. It's obviously him. And she goes for the limo, and Charlie's like, "Oh, princess, no, we're taking the subway." And the chauffeur scolds her again, and again she blackmails him with different tickets that he's using without
This time,
permission this
Yankee
time.
tickets.
Yankee tickets. Charlie gives Katie his fedora and a pair of sunglasses so that no one will recognize her. And they're going busking.
Hmm.
Katie
We
is.
don't see them on the subway,
Nope. No, we skipped that
which
scene.
I think would have been funner,
That would have been funner.
especially if they sing in the subway.
That would have been fun, because also subways have fun acoustics, and there's always buskers in subways. I
Yeah.
think the problem with that is that if they actually filmed in a New York subway, they would have had problems that exist in New York subways.
I found that line really distracting when he's like, no, we're going on the subway. Like, it was a big deal. And then we didn't see them go on the subway.
Maybe they just cut that scene.
Okay. Well, that's good. It's good that they're cutting things. I
Yeah,
encourage that.
yes, they could have done more. Anyways, so Katie's scared about this, and Charlie is not real sympathetic. He's like, "You sing in front of 70,000 fans, 8 tourists, and you're scared? No." And Tal and I were both very not on board, because these are her
Mm-mm.
personal lyrics. They're not good. They're not soulful. They're not deep or anything, but they are hers and they are personal. And it is really scary to share personal stuff with, I don't know, random strangers on the street, especially if you are already a success at something very different. She does it, it goes well. People are choreographed to this song that she's not sung to anybody
The,
ever.
the people of New York are so struck by her amazing singing that they all just stop and watch and clap along and are just blown away by how good she is, which is not what happens when you're a busker. Like, I'm so sorry.
My notes also say in all caps, this is not how busking works at all.
It
Drunk
literally doesn't matter how good you are. People who are going places, like, they're just in their own world. They're not paying attention.
So, just a side note story to cut into here. As evidence of this, someone did a really cool experiment. It was a famous violinist, and he played his like Chopin piece that he was going to be performing at like the Met, somewhere really famous. But people were going to pay like hundreds of dollars to come and see him perform for an hour. And he played for like 6 hours in the subway in New York, and he made like $20.
Hmm.
It was to highlight the concept of like what is value, what is not value, music, blah blah blah. But like seriously, that is how busking works. It does not matter how good you are. Busking is largely a performative art. If you can make people smile, they are more likely to give you money. It is
It
not
was
talent
just also
based.
not good. It was also not good. Charlie was standing on the bench behind her playing ukulele, but the backing track had a guitar. And
Yes, it
like, it
did.
was very produced. And at one point I even asked Liv, I was like, can you hear the ukulele at all?
Nope, there is no ukulele sound. It is a bass guitar sound.
Yeah. And it was just like very polished, very produced. And that was the one moment where they should have had her sing like a cappella to highlight how personal and soulful and like
Yeah,
truly her this is. And instead it was produced and polished, and it didn't sound any different to me than like a pop song that she would sing otherwise.
nope.
Not that I'm familiar. with Katie Worth's discography within this universe, but it didn't strike me as particularly different.
Agreed. It's going really well, but then a cop shows up out of nowhere and is like, break it up or I'll give you a ticket. Which is not how cops work or busking. You're allowed to gather on sidewalk. Anyways.
I mean,
So
I think you have to have a permit in certain locations, but then they would ask for a permit.
it's just weird.
Anyway,
It was a weird thing that came out of nowhere. Like the song could have just ended and that would have also been fine. This movie could not figure out how to end a song other than having a literal law officer come in and be like, stop singing. Stop it.
actually, songs do often just end because they're interrupted or the scene switches in the middle of a song.
I don't think this
So
movie
I
knows how
think,
to end songs.
yeah, I don't think it does.
Yeah. This is the song that never ends, Cinderella.
Oh,
So Katie goes to give the money to the bum who she woke up. There was a drunk bum. And Charlie's like, grabs the dollar out of the cup, and is like, no, you have to keep the first dollar that you made on your own music.
she gives it back to the guy.
Yeah.
She says thank you, but then she gives it back to the guy.
Yeah. So that doesn't make any sense. Anyways, it was a stupid scene. And then they run for the bus. They miss the bus, which A doesn't matter because this is previously established this is New York and there's a subway. But also the bus sees that they are late and then stops for them as Charlie flags it down, which is how no bus ever in the history of ever has ever worked, and certainly not in New York.
I have had buses literally close their doors when I'm like right there in front of the bus
Oh
and
yeah.
leave. Much less if you're running like several bus lengths behind it,
Yeah.
just waving your arms.
Yeah. That was the most unbelievable part of this movie.
I was so mad. It was so unnecessary.
It was. They were just like, oh, I'll miss the bus. Okay, we'll take the subway. You took the subway to get there. I don't. Anyways, but then we have to have this scene on the bus where she's very happy and bouncy because performing hasn't felt like this in forever. And she invites Charlie to the talent show party thing that's happening. And the
It's the
bus,
masquerade party.
yeah, of course it is. And the bus hits a pothole and they sort of get jostled and they wind up very close together. But then she's recognized by all the people on the bus because she's taken off her sunglasses and everybody wants her autograph now and he's awkward about it.
That's the end of that scene.
Yep,
Moving on.
moving on.
I don't know where they took the bus to.
It wasn't necessary. Nothing happened. They could have just walked away and like he pulls her out of the road because there's like a car coming in a crosswalk and she winds up being pulled closer to him than expected because she's like really excited about stuff. Like there was so many ways to do this that didn't involve a bus for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Charlie sneaks in through the bathroom window again. But as he climbs through, Arthur is there with his two sons standing behind him with their arms crossed, and it's very like bodyguard backup stance.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and Arthur's like, "You're late," and Charlie goes, "Nope, 58 seconds to spare."
And just gets up and walks away. It was fantastic.
Yeah, but as he's walking away, Arthur pulls the invitation out of Charlie's pocket to the Majesty Masquerade, and he's like, "What is this? Did you steal it?" And Charlie is like, "No, Katie Worth gave it to me." And basically, Arthur decides that his boys will go to the party because there was obviously a big mistake when they rejected their CD,
Mm-hmm.
and that Charlie is going to stay behind and run the karaoke machine. And then he tells his two like young adult sons, "Go to bed. We gotta get up early and get ourselves some costumes." And then they do like an impromptu rap and get into a fight.
Yep. For as sassy as Charlie is with his comebacks to art, and for as scrappy as he is portrayed, he gives very immediate, sharp responses to like, "That's mine. Give it back. You cannot have that." And then just buckles and just doesn't say anything else. Art's like, "No, this is our chance," and he just doesn't say anything.
He doesn't really like stand up for himself or do a lot to pursue his own dreams.
No, it was weird.
He gives up very easily, and that's kind of a pattern throughout the movie.
Yeah, it made it hard to really be on his side.
Yeah, like he has all these songs about how he's going to be great and people are going to recognize him, but he doesn't show that same like energy or drive in other areas.
Yeah, no,
Like
he has
he doesn't submit his own music to the talent search at
no.
any point.
He has to get discovered and coerced and like shoved in the butt to get anything done. He'll stand up for other people, but it's not for himself. It's really frustrating.
Yeah. And I understand that as a character beat. Like, I think that's really interesting, but it doesn't get really addressed at any point, and that's not like a thing that he realizes for himself at any point.
Yeah.
And there's no moment where he has to like take a chance and like really go for it. Like
Yeah, they never
everything just gets handed to him,
yeah, they
which
never
actually makes it kind of a Cinderella, like even more so.
I mean, we can talk about that more later. I disagree
Okay.
because they don't really explore that character beat and there's no character arc, there's no growth. And I feel like the key thing of Cinderella is that she does genuinely do something on her own. She tries, so she either makes her own dress or she tries
You're
to do
right.
something and then it fails and then somebody comes in and helps her out and gives her all the stuff, but like she has to be the one to be like, "No, I'm going to try." And he never tries. He never does anything.
That's true.
But good news, Diego and Martha have overheard this, I guess, and they have decided they're going to get Charlie into the party. By the way, we haven't mentioned it, but Diego and Martha have a very weird relationship. They are a couple, but not married, because Martha keeps making digs about Diego not finding her a ring,
No,
and
they're
Garth.
married because she says a bigger ring,
Oh, a
or he
bigger
says a
ring.
bigger ring.
Okay.
I don't think he got her a diamond ring, is the
Oh,
point.
okay. But he keeps bringing in like stuff from the street to fix it to make it better. Like, do you believe that someone threw this thing away? And I gotta say, as somebody married to a person who has routinely stopped by the pile of trash on the side of the road to pick out the good boards, I felt this in my soul.
I thought it was a charming character beat for Diego that he
It
was always like finding stuff, and to be fair, he does fix everything he finds. Like
oh, it was
you
cute.
don't see any examples of it piling up or anything like that.
It
Like,
was cute. I just felt attacked.
oh, okay.
I felt like Martha and Charlie had a weird energy between them that I did not care for. She's very much supposed to be sort of a mom character, but every time they talk, she like leans way too close to him, or he leans way too close to her, or she gets like flirty
They had
hair.
a
I
they
didn't
had a
like it.
very flirty vibe, and at one point Charlie, like very early on, Charlie makes a joke that if she wasn't married to Diego, he'd propose to her.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to do to a mom character.
Yeah, I think the problem is that Charlie and Katie had so little chemistry
Yeah.
that anytime he interacted with somebody else that he had slightly more chemistry with, it was just like very obvious
Hmm.
that he had chemistry with them. So like when Sean is like really on board with getting him recorded or whatever, like
Yeah.
that comes off as romantic. And when he talks to like Martha and she's very supportive and she's like, "You're gonna do this, I'm gonna make sure you go there, and we're gonna make you a costume." And that feels romantic because every time he and Katie talk, it's just nothing. It's just a flat line.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of chemistry. Anyways, Martha has made Charlie a silver suit, sparkly, and
Out of
he
curtains.
out of curtains. And he has a lot of objections. He's like, "Oh, I can't go. I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing that." But they cover for him. They've covered all of the things that need to get done. And Charlie goes, "Well, what if Art sees me?" And Diego gives Charlie a mask.
So it's a Zorro mask and it covers like none of his face. It's very obviously him. And he just kind of like gets this very intense look in his eyes and whispers, "Whoa, game changer."
I forgot about that.
I just really needed to include that.
Nope.
Also, on the list of his responsibilities and like reasons why he can't go, he says he has school. Is he in school? Is he in high school?
We've never seen him attend school or have a school book or mention school or mention homework.
Okay. And he cleans the palace and also has a part-time job as a janitor. Is he skipping school all the time? Is that why we never see him at school?
Maybe
He
this is
has no
playing
friends from school.
maybe this is playing back to him being a bad liar, of being like, "I have school. I have to polish the cat." I don't know.
I just thought that was very weird, and I wish they hadn't included it because I can't stop thinking about it.
Me too. So we cut to a little bit later. The stepbrothers are getting ready to go. Andrew's being mean. And this is the first beat we get of Lloyd being sort of the nicer brother. Lloyd sort of stops on the way out and goes, "Hey, like, I'm sorry he said that. I'll bring you cake," which was a really cute moment. And then he leaves. And then Charlie races out the back door and rides off on the bike that Diego has fixed. It's an orange bike, by the way, so that's as close as we get to a pumpkin
Why didn't he just ride his skateboard?
because it's not orange. And then we get the best moment in the whole movie. Martha and Diego are standing outside on the sidewalk with their arms sort of around each other's waists, sort of waving goodbye to him. And Martha goes, you think he'll get in? And Diego goes, not a chance. And I said, bye, boys. Have fun storming the castle. And now I want to watch The Princess Bride, which is so much better than this movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, obviously.
Yeah.
So then we're at the party, and there's some reporters interviewing Katie and Finn, and they're asking her about the new album. They're like, oh, is this your most personal album? And she kind of hesitates and goes like, well, and Finn interrupts her and is like, of course. And then he steals the spotlight. And then it turns out that Nick Cannon is there and is like emceeing the party. And Nick Cannon is not playing a character. He's just Nick Cannon because it's Nickelodeon movies. So, of course, they have Nick Cannon.
I have a question. Was the guy that played the father the Old Spice guy?
No.
Okay. I recognize him from somewhere, but I don't know where.
Let me look it up.
I know he was familiar. I know I saw him in something, but I don't remember what. And he just...
Isaiah Mustafa. Oh, yes! He is the Old Spice guy. He's the man your man could smell like.
Oh, good. Oh, I feel so much better about everything now.
I can't believe they got him and gave him a role with zero comedy.
Yeah, that was a weird choice. Because he's so funny.
Oh my god!
My mind is blown. Guys, we got to take a break for a second while Talon and I recover. If we had a sponsor, this is where we'd put an ad break.
Does anyone want the sponsors? Do you guys want the sponsors? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Chevrolet, though. We're not taking Chevrolet sponsors.
So at the party, Lloyd is eating wings, and he's got sauce all over his face, and his dad is like, what are you doing? Like, you're here to get noticed. And he does this whole monologue about how this is going to get him noticed. Like, you go into a room and there's a guy with sauce on his face. You're going to notice him.
They're wearing Batman masks, BT dubs.
And Lloyd isn't. He's wearing like a weird cat mask. But Andrew is definitely wearing a Batman mask. It's like very Batman styled.
Okay. But then the weirdest moment happens. Tammy, Katie's friend with the short, sort of spiky black hair, comes by and sees that he has food and is like, ooh, and sort of is interested in him, which is somebody who really loves food. I didn't disagree with that, but the red-haired friend shows up immediately after, looks at Lloyd and goes, and sort of drags her away. It was a good chemistry moment between the two friends of like, ooh, he has wings. I like. No, you don't. No, you don't. Look at how he's eating those.
But it was kind of confusing because before that, the blonde one was portrayed as the ditzy one, and Tammy with the spiky black hair was kind of the one that was keeping it more together. And so it was just like weird and inconsistent. Not that you can't be stupid sometimes and like be like not stupid other times, but I just thought with as little screen time as they got, sending us conflicting character beat messages was a bad call for the movie.
It was. However, I did enjoy that scene.
I did too.
So now Charlie is deciding to get in by lying to the doorman. So Charlie walks up and the doorman goes, "Can I have your ticket?" And Charlie goes, "That guy, a different person, stole my ticket. And I know what you're thinking." And he goes into this whole monologue. I didn't get the lines. But he's like, he said the doormans are stupid. But doorman isn't stupid. Doorman is a time-honored profession. And I knew that this would never work. I knew that you would never let someone in. It was this crazy double, triple, quadruple bluff of a monologue. And eventually the doorman is like, "Okay, let me check this out," and walks away. And Charlie's like, "I can't believe that works," and grabs a hat from a table of hats and walks in.
He grabs a silver fedora to match his head-to-toe silver outfit, which includes silver shoes, which means that he already had the silver shoes because Martha and Diego did not make him shoes for the outfit.
Nope, they did not. The lining of this coat, by the way, is scarlet. Just in case you thought it was also silver, it's not.
So, of course, the first thing that happens is that Charlie knocks into his stepfather. And his stepfather turns around and is kind of angry. And he's like, "Well, excuse me." And Charlie panics and assumes a very deep voice and goes, "I didn't see you there, big guy. Keep up the good work. Loving the hair." And Arthur's like, "Do I know you?" And Charlie's like, "Nope." And leaves. And Arthur follows him suspiciously. But nothing comes of that.
Well, not immediately. Well, no, not ever, I guess.
No, it doesn't pay off at all.
Nope, no, it does not. You are correct. I'm sorry. I was tying that together with a different thread that is not connected.
Nope.
Okay. So Finn goes up to Katie and goes, "Are you ready to dance with your king?" And she sort of looks at him and she goes, "No, I'll dance with you."
She goes, "No, but I'm ready to dance with you." So she's like,
You're not my king. I don't like you, but I
it
will
was
dance
just
with
like
you.
a weird. They keep trying to tie the royalty angle in,
But it's not
but
working.
no one's a royal, so they just keep using like
Royal
royalty
blood.
adjacent words.
Yeah, it was really weird. So Lloyd sneaks up and pulls Tammy away to dance. And I guess this is a black and white dance party, but some people are wearing gold. So it's black and white, but sometimes gold. Everybody is choreographed. They are doing the weirdest partner dance that I've ever seen in my life. It
So the
is,
worst music to dance to that way.
yeah, I don't even know.
Do your best.
Okay, so you know the dance scene from A Knight's Tale, yeah?
Hmm.
Where they're like in a circle in partners and they're doing sort of together and then forward things and then backwards things. It's like that, but there's also weird polkas in the middle of it, and they're doing it to a rap song, and then they're doing random hip hoppy slide moves together. The song is supposed to be romantic because at one point the DJ is like, everybody's getting bored. Switch partners. Use the person on your left. And there's no one to Katie's left. So Charlie rushes up to be on her left, and now they dance. And this is supposed to be their big romantic scene. Guys, I cannot express to you how unromantic this is. I don't think this is the worst ball we've ever seen, but this was really unpleasant.
So the music that's playing is dubstep, and it just sounds like brr, 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 brr. And it's
Yeah.
all about like welcome to the masquerade. So it's not even a romantic song.
Nope.
And Charlie asks her like how she's enjoying it, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not really having a good time, but I am now." But like he's not dancing with her any differently than Finn was dancing with her. It's not like he picked her up and started swing dancing or something.
Nope. Nothing is different.
It's just the same choreographed dance.
And then the dance ends, and Charlie looks at Katie and says, "You're too amazing to be anything other than yourself. Just be you." And she is absolutely poleaxed. She is completely floored by this statement, this huge romantic statement of just be you.
From a person that she's good friends with,
No,
apparently.
from a rando. She does not
No, no,
know that.
no. No, I know. I'm getting there. If you hadn't interrupted me, you would have heard the end of that sentence.
I'm sorry, I'm
So,
just so mad.
this is being told to her by a person that she's pretty close with. The movie has given us to believe that they're very good friends. She does not recognize his voice. And because he's wearing a Zorro mask, she does not recognize his face.
This is true. This is what happens.
And
Hmm.
then Nick Cannon announces the winner of the song submission contest that they did. The band is called Fate Train,
Hmm.
which is my favorite fake band name I've ever heard in my life.
It was pretty great, yeah. But we don't get to see them because their plane was delayed and they will not be there. Reginald is very mad at Irma,
He's
who's like,
so mad. I was like, why is he so mad suddenly?
he's,
Like, what are we supposed to get from this character beat? He's yelling, people are turning around to notice.
yeah,
He's in the middle of the audience. Like, this isn't, he didn't go into an office.
yeah. And the camera sort of zooms in on Art, who goes, sometimes opportunity knocks. Then we cut back to Charlie, who is snuck up on Sean. And Sean's
Who's
like, hey,
at like the DJ booth? Is
yeah, and
Sean a DJ?
who knows? And Sean is like, oh, hey man, this is private. You can't be back here. And Charlie's like, no, it's me. This is a really good disguise. And he takes off his mask, and Sean's like, oh, look, I've made you a CD called Rags. It's your stage name so that you remember your origins when you become famous tonight, I guess.
He decided that Charlie's gonna go by Rags.
Oh, yeah.
That's a terrible name. That is the worst name I've ever heard.
Honestly, the janitor is a better stage name than Rags.
I thought that the entire through line of Charlie being a bad liar was going to come into play when they're like, "Who are you?" And he has to come up with a different name or a stage name. And if Charlie had come up with like, "Oh, just call me Rags,"
Rags. Yeah, that would have been funny. That would have been a funny beat because he sucks at lying.
and that would have been like consistent, and it would have been a good payoff for the lying thing, which doesn't ever get a good payoff.
Oh no, there's really no payoff for that. So Sean has made this CD for him of his own music, but instead of that, Art is announcing his children's band, Android. I don't know where they got this music. I don't know why nobody's guarding the stage. This is very baffling. It doesn't go well, this performance. Everybody starts booing. Art looks like he's about to have a panic attack. Sean goes, I can't take this, and shoves Charlie onto the stage with the line, if you're terrible, no one will know it's you. And then puts on his song. And now we're singing another song, and now there is ukulele in the background. The one scene that Charlie doesn't have a ukulele on his back. Now there is ukulele playing.
I guess they must have recorded the backing track separate from him rapping because they're playing full music for him. He doesn't just get up on stage and start like
Nope.
No, like it's fully produced. It's very bizarre.
Uh-huh.
Nobody's in charge of the stage. Nobody stops him.
Nope.
This is turned into a free-for-all talent show. The worst possible thing to happen at a record executive party.
Yes. This is a rap about we're not so different. Everybody immediately loves it and starts jamming and bopping along.
Singing
Lloyd.
along, too.
Oh, yeah, singing along to the song that no one has ever heard. They're
Mhm.
singing along very well. Lloyd recognizes the design on his shoes, though, and is really happy. He's like, oh, this is great. This is my stepbrother Charlie, and I'm happy that he's here.
Charlie writes his stylized initials on the heel part of his shoe for whatever reason.
Yeah.
This has never come up before.
Nope.
I guess if you're paying attention, it's probably in the opening scene where he's skateboarding.
That's a long callback for no payoff, and given how bad this movie is with everything else, I am not willing to give them the benefit of that doubt.
I'm not willing to rewatch it to check.
No, me neither. So Art sort of freaks out and storms off. And Andrew and Lloyd look at each other and go, never give up, never surrender. And I'm like, I'm sorry, are we watching Space Quest now? What's happening? What's happening? There are so many better movies that I could be watching.
Well, Art is like, we have to go home. We have to strategize. And they're like still in it and they still believe in the dream. And that's why they like do that. By the way, Katie's like really into the song and she's just standing in the crowd smiling and is like very impressed, even though she doesn't know who he is. She previously said that she wasn't going to get to enjoy the party because she's going to have to work the entire time. We don't see her perform.
Nope.
Not that I wanted more songs in this movie, but I just want to throw that out there that she should have performed another tacky pop song and her heart shouldn't have been in it and we should have seen that again.
Yes, she should have had very sad face on her stage. Just very so like, ugh, bored. Anyways, so Charlie sees the stepfamily leaving and he sort of freaks out and runs off. But Katie races after him and goes, who are you? To which Charlie turns on the staircase, sprints back to her, grabs her wrist, and gives her a full-on mouth kiss for a while.
Yeah.
And then says, be you, drops his CD,
accidentally,
sprints away, and then Finn, bless his adorable stoned British heart, shows up and goes, did I miss something?
And we're left with just Katie standing there, smiling gently, holding the CD. So she was into it, I guess.
She was. Okay, and as a movie, we're supposed to be like, oh, they have a connection. Katie is at a party. She is used to people just accosting her all the time. Every time we see Katie leave the confines of the Worth studio, random people tear off their shirts and want to take pictures with her and give her stuff to sign and scream at her in excitement. They're not angry, they're happy, but still is screaming. And she's been very, polite, like, oh, yes, my fans, I love you. She's been very nice about all this. But we're supposed to believe that a dude that she danced with for 17 seconds, watched do a boring rap, that she's totally chill about him just racing up to her and giving her a big ol' smoochy smooch. I don't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I didn't like that it wasn't based on like a moment of connection that they had. I don't like that they had a previous relationship before she sees him in a mask.
Normally I like it when they get to know each other, but like you gotta do one or the other. Either we have a relationship and I recognize you, or we've never met, but I'm super in love with you at first sight and there's a floaty symbol of love above us.
Okay, so you told me to stop doing this, but I have another scenario for you.
That's okay.
So what if she was like kind of full of her own image and sort of disconnected from everyone and didn't have any friends and was like writing her own music and he had overheard it as a janitor, but they weren't friends. Like they were in two different worlds completely. And they keep passing each other and they never have this connection. And then this party is the first time that he is part of her world in this way. And then that's what makes them kiss.
I'm fine
Because
with
they're
that.
like finally talking for the first time. But then the
Valid.
whole scene where he takes her to busk, that doesn't make sense anymore.
We could just cut that scene. That scene could just not happen to anybody anymore.
Oh, okay. Anyways, if that kiss were to work, that's how it would work, I think.
Or if that moment had been a big romantic moment and she had started having a really great time in that dance, or you'd gotten the sense that she'd recognized him.
Or if like she had her thing where she had to sing on stage and then he hopped up on stage and like did his song and got her to sing with him
Yeah, that would have been fun.
and like got her out of her shell and like had her try something new or like started improvising on stage with her or something. And it was the first time anyone had heard her do this.
Yeah. Also, hear me out. I don't really like it when the Prince and Cinderella kiss at the ball. I don't think they
Uh-huh.
should kiss. They should have a romantic connection that is cut short because that builds the tension where you're like, oh, there was a romantic connection there, but I don't know if it was going to work or not.
I don't think they should kiss if it's a masquerade ball, but if it's not a masquerade ball and they're, talking for hours and strolling in the gardens,
Okay, that's
I've liked it when they've kissed.
okay. I think it kind of hinges on how much time they actually spent in each other's company at this ball.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they had one dance together and it was choreographed, so it wasn't even like very emotional.
Nope,
And then
agreed.
like she asked him who he was and he kissed her.
All
That
right,
was
we got
it.
to move on.
Okay.
So Charlie tries to parkour in through his window again, but it is nailed shut. He gets Martha to help him sneak in. So Martha and Diego are doing distraction stuff for Arthur while Charlie can try to climb up the drain pipe full of electricity outside of the window.
It detaches and he's like hanging off a window by his hands,
Hmm.
but somehow he makes it in and it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. So this is the scene we've seen in every movie where
I
everybody
like it every
tries
time.
to distract the
The
step
step parent.
parent in aggressively more and more obvious ways. And eventually Art throws open the door to Charlie's room and Charlie is just sitting in bed under the covers wearing a t-shirt and goes, I didn't hear you knock. And Art goes, because I didn't, and is very confused about how Charlie's there and storms away. We see that Charlie is indeed wearing his suit pants under his covers and his jacket was under his pillow and then he realizes that his CD is gone. Oh no.
And then we cut to Katie trying to hand the CD to her dad, but he doesn't want it. He's freaking out about the Fate Train band because they're thinking of signing with someone else. And also, clearly, Rags isn't ready for the big time, or he wouldn't have run away.
Mhm.
And he's like, my job is to make sure your head is on straight and to get her to like focus on her own career and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And she's like, is that your job as my dad or as chairman of Majesty Records?
He's like, we'll talk about it later, and just walks away. Irma is here, by the way, again, doing the annoying Irma thing of just repeating him and being weird in the corner.
Yeah.
So Katie shows back up at the diner,
The palace.
the palace. Oh,
Why
God, what?
does he live in the palace if she's the princess?
Because his name is Charlie Prince, because normally the guy is the prince, and so it's ironic that he works in a place called the palace as a servant, but it's a dump. It's ironic.
I hate that explanation, but go on.
Okay, so Katie shows up to the diner and she's like, where were you? You didn't come to the thing. And he goes, I got a cold. I stayed home. She's like, yeah, you're a terrible liar.
He's
Goes,
like, I watched a movie, and she's like, oh, what movie? He's like, I don't know. It had Reese Witherspoon in it, and I cried, and yeah.
and
And
she's
she's
like,
like,
no, no, you're
no, that's not what happened, but
not.
okay.
Moving on. I don't care about that. She's like, oh, this guy Rags came. He was amazing. He was the best. He was a really good kisser. That's okay.
I don't buy that that's something she would share with Charlie.
Well, yes, I don't believe that she would share that with him. If she did,
Because they had like a romantic vibe.
yeah.
But now he's firmly in the best friend camp.
Which, by the way, they have fairly good best friend chemistry.
Yeah,
They're
I would have bought them as best friends.
they have very solid friend chemistry, but I don't like it.
Well,
It's
now he's the like unhappy best friend who's secretly in love with her
and
and
I don't
she's
like that.
oblivious to it. And
Don't
he's
like it.
just waiting their whole relationship for her to like wake up and date him
I
and
hate it.
is just like pretending to be her friend vibe. I hate
Yeah.
that. I don't like that. And
Yeah.
they didn't have that the entire movie.
Nope. Nope. It's just now. It's just now that he is super into her. Because you never really got the sense that he had a crush on her earlier.
No.
I mean, he's a
He
little
was like,
starstruck, but
yeah, he was excited to see her and they seem to have a real connection about their music,
Yeah.
and he wanted to help her get out of her shell and like be herself.
And those are
But
all
until he kisses her, like that was the first time, other than when they were on the bus, that you got a sense that they were like romantic.
Yeah. Anyways.
So she asked him to help her find Rags because he left the city without any contact info. And she plays him on the headphones the I Follow My Dreams song. You think they're nightmares. And he's like, wow, you want to find him? And Katie's like, yeah, I found it really inspiring. And he goes, I think I have to tell you something. And he kind of turns away and then he goes, I'm Rags. And then he looks at her, but she's got the headphones in and doesn't hear him. And she takes the headphones out and she goes, the whole world wants a piece of Katie Worth, but not you, Charlie. Please help me. And he gives in and he doesn't try again. But he doesn't want a piece of her. He wants all of her.
I know. It's
So that was like a weird line.
It's a weird line. So they're gonna do the sing the next line in the song version of the shoe montage. We also had this in L.
Okay. Katie decides that she and Charlie are the only people who have ever heard this song because it's on the CD that he dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And so if anybody else is able to sing it, that's how she'll know it's Rags.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know why she decided that no one's ever heard this song. Just because she hasn't heard it before doesn't mean like a million people haven't heard it. Maybe he's on SoundCloud.
I don't think she has a lot of object permanence.
So next scene, her two friends are there and also Charlie, and they're all like at an outdoor table and they're just publicizing the fact that they're trying to find Rags. And they've also announced that Majesty Records will hire the first person to prove he's Rags, which is a weird way to phrase that.
Yeah, especially since this is a her and her alone kind of decision. She's just announced it. It's not like a thing that's true.
Yeah, like she wasn't able to get her dad's backing on this, so she has no way to guarantee that someone will get hired.
Yeah, so this is not a great move for her, like ethically. This is ethically very gray.
It's also unclear how Charlie is helping because we later find out that he like doesn't understand Twitter. Actually, we find out like in the next scene.
Immediately.
Sorry.
Yeah. And they
my point is like I don't know what Charlie's doing there. I don't know why she needed him. Her best friends are helping her, and they're the ones posting to like celebrity gossip sites.
Yeah.
Which presumably they have an in with as like a contact or something. Mm-hmm. So like I don't understand what he brings to the table.
Literally nothing. So the next scene is Katie and Charlie having non-romantic lunch on a bench outside and banter where they sort of josh each other and sort of give each other playful shoves, and he shoves her too hard and she falls on the ground, and then we're done with that scene.
And this is when she's like, oh, I'm tweeting about it to my 7 million followers. And he's like, wow, that's a lot. And she's like, how about you? And he's like, oh my gosh, tons. So many tweeters also follow my tweetings. And she's like, wow, tweetings, you're hilarious. And then he knocks her off the bench accidentally because she playfully pushes him. I have in all caps written zero chemistry because it's the most milquetoast scene I've ever seen.
Well, yeah. Okay, so here's how that scene is supposed to go. Playful shove, harder playful shove, harder playful shove. Oops, the bench was too short. Let me help you up. I help you up. Now you're standing very close to me.
I don't know that there's like a sexy way to knock somebody off a bench.
Look, my husband has drop kicked me out of bed.
And I'm still married. That's sexy.
I'm still married to him somehow. So.
You're not selling this.
That's a good point. Okay, never mind. No one listened to me. Where are we done? Are we done yet? No. My next line is that Reginald is very angry.
Yeah, there's like a mob scene in the lobby. Mm-hmm. And she's getting lectured by her father and kind of by Finn, but not really. Irma's like, not to mention you're jeopardizing your relationship with Finn. Look at him, he's a mess. But Finn's like, fine. He's like, the search for Rags is kicking me off magazine covers. Oh, and also we never talk anymore. And she's like, we never talk.
This is a business arrangement.
And he's like, oh, she's just trying to make me jealous, trying to get my attention. And she gets really mad. Oh, because the other thing that they're on her case for is that she's hanging out with that guy, Charlie, the janitor. She's missing meetings. She's like dividing her attention. This whole thing with Rags is like a big deal. Mm-hmm. And when they bring up Charlie in a negative way, she gets kind of defensive and she's like, oh, what? Why would Katie Worth hang out with someone who scrubs the floor I walk on? Right? Is that what you're saying? And it's very obviously like
sarcastic.
Her being, like she's not actually saying that.
Yeah,
And
but
she's never displayed any kind of behavior like that before, so it's out of character.
mhm,
But of course, Charlie's walking past doing his janitor thing, and he overhears and he just walks away dejectedly without sticking around to hear the rest
yeah,
of what she's saying, which is my least favorite plot device in the history of all movies. Is that Charlie is better than all of you put together,
cooler.
and
He's cooler than
oh,
everyone in
he's
this building,
cooler. I'm sorry.
which he is not, man. He's
Yikes. And they're telling her that she should just be grateful for her career. And she's like, how can I be grateful when I'm successful at something my heart's not in? Which made me really angry,
yeah,
actually.
like, hey, ma'am, I don't know if you know how everybody else makes a living, but
Like,
no one
I
has
can
it.
understand her wanting more. I really can. I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
like, I think that makes a lot of sense. But like, you can still be grateful for what you have. Like, you
yeah,
can acknowledge the fact that you're like incredibly wealthy and famous doing the thing you love.
yeah, and just be like, hey, I would like this to be different. I am not completely fulfilled. I am very grateful for what I have, but there's room for improvement. The same way that you can be body positive about yourself and still be like, but I still have goals.
She could have been like, people think they love me, but they don't actually love me. They don't know who I am, and I want them to know who I am. I want to be myself.
Yeah,
You
that.
know, you're putting me in a box.
Yeah.
But to say that her heart's not in it anyway. So
Anyways,
on her way out, she's like, and Finn, we're done. And Finn's like, wow, who's wearing their cranky pants today? And Reginald is like, Finn, go make a record or something.
it was the best. Oh my god, that line made me so happy because Finn looks so confused because he walks over to Reginald and just sort of like lightly slaps him on the chest. Reginald, by the way, again, is the Old Spice guy, and Finn is a slender, very good looking, floppy haired boy who is in no way anywhere near the stature of the Old Spice guy. And so he sort of playfully swats him on the chest and is like, well, someone's got her crappy pants on today. And it was just the best. Oh, God. Okay, so we're almost done. We cut back to the diner. The stepbrothers are doing a practice dance. Lloyd keeps messing it up. They're wearing hot pink cardigans, like neon pink, hot pink. Art yells at Lloyd for screwing up the dance, and then Art and Andrew leave to have a nappy or something. I don't know. Lloyd offers to help Charlie clean stuff, and Charlie's like, I'm sorry, what? Lloyd starts to talk about the party and says, hey, I know that you're rags. You guys have the same way of doing your shoes. No worries. I'm not going to tell anybody. Andrew is secretly overhearing this, obviously.
Of course.
Lloyd is like,
Lloyd
oh, but,
also says, I
oh, yeah,
kind of like how it makes my dad so angry.
yeah, that was funny. But then Lloyd is like, oh, you should, go after Katie. She really liked you. She was really excited about the music or whatever. And then Charlie goes, no one's going to want a poor guy from a horrible family. Girls want pretty guys who are mean to them. Girls are weird like that.
I hated it, and I didn't like when Charlie said it, and it made me like him less. I don't know why I'm singing. It made me really uncomfortable. I
I
don't
was
understand why
so
that line was
angry.
there.
I was so angry about that line because he has not demonstrated any horrible traits up until now. He's been weird, but like,
He's
what?
been adorkable.
Yes, good line. But this is just aggressively bad. Somebody says this even in a bad mood, that's a that's a three strikes. Somebody who says something like this and it's just like, "Oh, well, I was just grumpy and this is how I was feeling." No. No.
I think it was a writing mistake because I think what they were going for is I guess I didn't know Katie as well as I thought I did, and appearances were more important to her than I thought.
Which again would have been a fine line. That line would have totally worked. Been like, "Oh man, I'm heartbroken and grumpy. I thought I knew her. I didn't." This is girls are superficial and don't know what's best for them.
They just want Chads.
Ugh, I hate it. Anyways, Lloyd then starts to break glasses to encourage him to go out with Katie. And then Andrew comes in.
Okay,
Arthur.
so what happens is Lloyd decides that what he's going to do is start dropping glasses on the floor
Mhm.
until Charlie agrees to tell Katie. He only gets a couple in before Art shows up and panics because his dad's there. And they do like the whole back and forth where Art's like, this is coming out of your pay. And Charlie's like, you don't pay me. Lloyd panics and goes, he was breaking glasses.
Lloyd is kind of a dum dum.
Yeah. And then he goes, I'm just gonna stay here and make sure this grunt muffin doesn't mess anything else up. And then after Art leaves, Lloyd is like, I'm so sorry that I called you a grunt muffin. And Charlie's like, I don't even know what a grunt muffin is. And we're done with that scene.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Andrew's doing the sneaky going through Charlie's stuff thing. He's searching for anything that connects him to Rags.
He steps on his bed with his shoes.
I mean, we already discussed that he's an evil stepbrother and he's the mean one. As he's going through his clothes, he's like, ew, which is so funny to me because everything he wears is the worst thing I've ever seen a human being wear. And he wears it in a matching outfit with his stupid brother who he hates as an adult.
Yeah.
Okay, quick question. Whose decision do you think it was for the two brothers to dress up together? Do you think that Art's been making them do that since they were kids?
100%.
Or do you think they like it and it's part of their image?
I think that's Art 100% because he's like, we need costumes. I think that's got to be Art.
So Andrew finds a notebook that has the lyrics to the song that Rags sang, which is the like somebody someday whatever song. And he also finds like a flyer for the search for Rags in case we're not sure that this is like what's happening.
And he goes down to Art's office and is like, I have a game-changing piece of information. At which point we had to see how much time was left in the movie. And and Talon goes, only 10 minutes left. And I go, that's 20 minutes left. And Talon just started to cry.
We literally had to keep it paused for like 30 seconds while I had a breakdown.
Yep.
I hated this movie and it went on for so long and I hated every new plot beat.
Yeah.
So we're at the search for Rags and Charlie's there helping Katie
Somehow.
and do what? I don't know, but he's like there to help her judge who's Rags. And he's like, I have nothing but faith in you. Just be you. And Katie's like, what? But then Andrew, the stepbrother, shows up and gets Charlie to go upstairs to talk to Art, who like has a whole thing where he's trying to distract Charlie and is like, I underestimated you. You're really crafty. And Charlie's like, you just overestimate yourself. And Art is like, well, I've got something for you. I'm trying to be nice to you. But then he locks him in a room.
Yeah, pretty obviously. He's playing with keys. Like he's fiddling with keys. It's very obvious. Charlie is kind of a dum-dum.
Charlie's a little bit of a dum-dum. So through the door, Art is like, you think you're a singer? How dare you? My boys are singers, and I'm selling the palace, and I'm turning it into an auto parts store, and maybe they'll need a janitor.
Yeah. So then Reginald, Katie's father, shows up and immediately comes in with, I'm sorry I wasn't listening. You know, I fully support you. And I think that, and Irma jumps in with, I think that I'm in love with Irma, screams
and
Irma.
And they ignore that.
And then Irma goes to sit down, and he just kind of shrugs, makes a face, and sits down next to Irma and sort of puts his hand on Katie's shoulder, who's in the seat in front of him, like encouragingly. That's a level of awkward that I have never encountered in any movie. In any amount of awkward stepsister or awkward geeky girl, I'm thinking of Eunice and She's the Man.
Yeah.
This is so much more awkward than that, and I don't know why it's there. What is it
We
supposed
didn't need Irma at all. We didn't need her because her dad, Katie's dad, fulfills the role of the person controlling her life and like not letting her make the decisions she wants. She doesn't need a manager. Her dad's the manager. Like he fulfills that role. I'm confused and I hated it. Also, they have like this little exchange, Katie and her dad, where she's like, who are you and what have you done with my father? And he's like, I'm here to help. And she's like, is your head on straight? And he goes, it finally is. As if something had happened between them, but nothing has happened between them. We have no idea why he decided to do this. Had there been a scene where he saw her singing her own words passionately and been like, wow, I have been missing like what's important to my child. I've not been seeing the skills she has and not recognizing them. I have to trust her. She's so smart. She's like so talented. None of that happened. Just off screen at some point, he decided that even though she like announced that they're going to hire Rags without his input, he's there to help her find Rags.
Yep. There could have been a number of scenes that made that scene make sense, and we missed 100% of them.
And then there are auditions and they're boring. And I
Yeah,
love auditions.
yeah.
One of the people auditioning is a girl with a ukulele, which is
Which
actually
I love.
kind of close to Rex.
That was great. I loved it. That was the closest we got.
But Katie cuts off like every audition after 10 seconds, so we don't really get the full joke of anything, or she just goes, no,
Mhm.
sorry, no.
Yeah. We also get the moment where Andrew and Art are on stage or behind stage or something, and Lloyd goes, "Well, what about me?" And Andrew sort of sneers at him and goes, "This is a solo act. You're the backup now." And they both walk away and leave Lloyd, who's very hurt.
Hmm.
And then Trumpet the dog. You guys thought the dog wasn't coming back. I know you did. You were wrong. Trumpet the dog finds Charlie in the closet. How? Shut up. Not don't ask questions.
Have Charlie and the dog had any other scenes together since that first one?
No.
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 Uh, why is Katie bringing Charlie to the audition to find Rags? Why isn't she like paying attention to him? Because Charlie is a huge dog and apparently just wandering the halls of this venue.
I don't want to correct you, but you've been calling Trumpet Charlie for the last two sentences, and I'm not going to correct it. I'm not fixing it. I'm not fixing it. So,
Why is Charlie wandering the halls in this venue without supervision?
why is Charlie a huge dog that's not on a leash?
I'm sorry, Trumpet. Trumpet the dog is once again
I'm not
at a
fixing any of
musical
that.
venue.
All right.
Anyway,
Anyways,
so then we cut to Katie's friends who are also there helping her find Rags. And one of her friends is bored and is like, oh, let's get out of here. And the other one's like, yeah, let's do it. But then Trumpet the dog shows up. I know the dog's name is Trumpet. And like kind of starts pulling on them to go get to the closet that Charlie's locked in. We're not really focused on it, but there is a person auditioning on stage, and it does appear to be Bernie from the pawn shop. And I wish him all the luck in the world.
me too. Bless Bernie's heart. He's a delightful person. But we don't follow Katie's friends and Trumpet the dog. We stay on Katie, who is frustrated, and Reginald says, "We're not going to find him. Why don't you just give up?" And she goes like, "No, I'm not ready to quit yet." And so she goes up onto the stage and proceeds to sing the song, the premise of which was, "If you can sing the next line, then I'll know you're you." But she proceeds to sing the whole first verse.
And it's the Dreams, Nightmares, Someday song, which is like not a good song.
Not a good song. But she sings it, and then Andrew walks onto stage and proceeds to sing the thing that she literally just sang, and then does the next part, which is a rap.
Here's the thing. When he first comes on stage, I assumed that it's a recording playing and he's lip syncing. But
No.
no, it's just him singing. And she looks kind of like she thinks something's up.
Hmm.
And I thought it's because she could pick up on the fact that he's lip syncing. But no, she like kind of recognizes that the voice is different.
Hmm.
Guess who didn't recognize that the voice was different? Me, Talon. I did not realize that Andrew's not doing as good a job as Rags because Rags isn't that great of a performer and like not that memorable or like unique. And when Andrew sings the song, it sounds basically the same to me. And I don't know what to do with that, but there it is.
But Katie goes, "Oh, you sound so different." And Andrew goes, "Oh, well, different songs, different lyrics. Also, the acoustics in here suck." So the friends have found Charlie now, and Tammy, the dark haired one, steals a bobby pin from the blonde friend's hair to pick the lock to get Charlie out. And the blonde friend is like, "Oh, I helped," which means that that's been a running joke that she is useless in their friendship, which makes me sad, even though that was kind of a cute moment.
I thought it was funny because she was like, I totally helped. And she was like so excited. It
They,
has like weird undertones because we just don't know them at all.
yeah. So Charlie races into the auditions right as Reginald is shaking hands with Andrew and saying, "I'm a man of my word," and he's very sad. And Art just whoop, sneaks up behind Charlie and goes, "Looks like you're a little late." And then
Sorry, Charlie.
yeah, and then we cut
No,
to Charlie.
Charlie just walks away. He just walks away. Meanwhile, Reginald holds up both Katie's hand and Andrew's hand up in the air like they just won a boxing match.
Yes,
And he announces the future of Majesty Records, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't even want to hire Rex.
this dude, man, I don't know. Maybe he took like a soothing shower and is all better
I
now.
think he has a coke problem.
Or that. So we got to Charlie walking home sadly, and he gets to the palace, and there is already a "Congratulations, Andrew" sign up with a big picture of Andrew. And he's like, "They knew." And then everybody else comes in, and Charlie runs away into a different part of the house, and then comes back with like his
I don't
bags
know.
packed and his
I don't know
ukulele on
why
his
that
back.
scene has to change there because everyone that was in the previous scene now comes to the palace to celebrate, including Katie.
Yeah. It's so that he can gather up his ukulele, which he didn't have on him in the previous scene, so that we can make the "I'm leaving this popsicle stand" scene more dramatic,
Yes.
I guess. Charlie's got his bags packed up, Yuka's on his back, and he's ready to leave. He's like, "I can't stay here." And Katie goes, "Okay, well, stay here while I introduce Rags. I couldn't have done this without you." And he agrees for some reason, even though, from his perspective, he is going to watch the girl that he loves, question mark, announce that his evil stepbrother who's stolen his work is going to be getting his dream life. So he agrees to stay and watch this for some
I mean,
reason.
I thought she was going to ask him to announce him,
Cool.
and that would have been worse.
That would have been worse. Yeah, no. So Katie gets up on stage and she's like, "Rags is really special, la la la. It took me time to realize how special he was and how special our friendship was," which Charlie does not pick up that this is weird because Andrew and Katie have never met. Andrew walks out on stage and Katie goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the real Rags, Charlie Prince." And Charlie stops the door and spins around very quickly. The slow spin is not a move that he's mastered. Andrew's like, "Oh, that's funny, but I'm Rags. I won the thing." And she just sort of gives him a shove. Katie then goes, "Charlie, get your butt up here."
Time to be you.
People in the background start carting off the big life-size cardboard cutout of Andrew off the stage really fast. Like they were
It's Martha
prepped.
and Diego.
Oh, it is? Oh, good. Okay, that makes so much more sense then. I
Yeah.
was like, who was just ready to cart off the decoration? Whatever.
It's Martha and Diego. They probably were the ones that had to put it up, and they put it on wheels just in case.
I like that. I like that. That's a better movie.
You know who else is now in this location? Sean. Sean is in the crowd just smiling because we thought Sean wouldn't have to do anything else or appear again, but we have to look at him some more.
We sure do. So Katie tells Charlie to take the stage and she hands him the mic and they hold hands. And then he starts rapping.
Wait, well, she says, just be you. How did you think I wouldn't figure it out? It's your stage, Charlie. Take it.
Like, how did I think you wouldn't figure it out? When you didn't notice when you were talking to him or looking at his stupid face.
Or like when he sang on stage. Anyway.
Anyways, he starts rapping the Someday song. This is the next big thing, gonna be something, something.
He starts it in a different part than we usually hear, so at first I didn't even recognize it
Oh,
was the same
like,
song.
yeah,
And he's like, I got it. Everything my mama wanted for me, I got it. Anyone that comes to take it from me, I got it. And it's very like
aggressive.
tough guy,
Yeah.
but like that's not his energy at all. So it sounded like very weird and silly.
Yeah.
So then at the end of the song, he goes, well, as the real Rags, it's my pleasure to give you the real Katie Worth. And Katie's like, oh no, I can't. Like, my dad has a plan. And her dad goes, no, sweetheart, I want to hear your song.
That's a cute line. Again, we need that deleted scene where he has a dark night of the soul, but we don't get that, so it doesn't make sense. But it's a good line. I liked the line in
I
theory.
mean, I like that he's supportive of her. I just don't understand it and I don't buy it. And it's just stupid.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Charlie goes off stage and goes to hug Martha and Diego, and Katie gets up and now she's singing, and she's singing the I'm a bird that's learning to fly now, I'm getting better every day. And there's like a music track again with a guitar somehow and backup singers, but there's no one on stage except her.
Harmony.
So once again,
She's singing in harmony with herself. She has backup singers as herself. There's a guitar behind her. I cannot express how much this is just a girl on stage holding a microphone with a song that literally no one has heard before except for what's his face? Charlie. This is the most insane moment to have a produced song.
it's
It's
so the wrong energy for this moment.
yeah.
So she's like, stand out, to break away, to be free. It's time to stand out. And her dad is like, and boy, did I hear you loud and clear. From now on, you're in charge of picking your music. And thanks to you all, and you, Sean, we found our next big star.
I don't know how they know Sean was involved.
I have no idea.
Also,
I
Irma
think
sort
there's
of
a deleted scene in which Sean goes and plays the Rags CD that he has a copy of to Reginald. Maybe. I decided.
okay, deleted scene that could have worked. Charlie and Katie have a moment in the studio where she's recording and he's cleaning up, and she's like, "Oh, I was just, they have the same moment where she's singing her stuff and he joins her and they sing together.
Oh, that would have been so cute.
Yeah, and Sean like secretly records it and gives it to her dad and is like, "Hey, she has a lot of potential. I don't think that you should check this out." And so he does, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, so much talent. And that kid is really good. And wow, do they sound happy and good together. I haven't heard her sing like this since her dear old mother died."
I can't believe I'm about to say this. This is like the worst thing I've ever had to say with my mouth. I wish they had had a scene like they did in the Selena Gomez Cinderella, where I know where they're both doing the same thing that they're both passionate about and they're separated by like a mirrored wall or whatever. Like he's cleaning in the hallway and she's in the recording booth and they're both jamming and singing to the same song and they don't realize that they're doing it together.
That would have been a good scene.
I would have loved that.
That would have
And
been a
then
good
like Sean catches them and like records them or something.
Yeah, like on his phone or something. He's like, "Hey man, you got to look at this. You got to check this out. They're really good together."
Or like that's how they discovered that he's a really good singer, is that
Yeah.
he's like singing while he's cleaning, which they already set up in the beginning, that he sings
Yes.
while he cleans.
Yeah, that's totally a thing that they could have been like, "Oh wow, I heard you singing. You were really great. Why don't you do this? You have to come and record this with me. Like, let's have some fun. Come on, this
Oh
will
my
be fun."
god. Oh my god.
We could
I'm
have made
so
like
mad.
17 better movies. Just out of all the scraps of this movie, we could have just made better movies.
We could have made one good movie if we had cut out everything we wanted to cut out and they let us re-record some shots.
Yeah. Anyways, so Art is consoling himself with, "Well, at least we still have the palace." And Lloyd comes forward with, "No, no, I'm done lying for you. Your mom left it to you, Charlie, not to Art."
If
And
you thought that for once we were not going to have a hidden deed, hidden will Cinderella, you are wrong.
you are
They have shoved it in here.
you are wrong. Martha goes, "You got your fairy tale ending, Charlie." It was never established that he wanted a fairy tale ending. That was the thing that Sean had said.
And
That was just,
also, like, he's never been like, oh, that could never happen. Life's not a fairy tale.
yeah, no. So Katie kisses Charlie, and there's a kiss transition. And now they're on a big stage. They're all wearing black leather, and they're
They're still at the
dancing.
palace, by the way, but it's just a different day at the palace, I think.
That was the palace?
I was pretty sure that was the palace, but just glitzied up because they cut to Diego in like a much nicer bartender uniform. And Martha as well.
Okay, I guess that makes sense, but
I think they've
boy,
rejuvenated the palace into a real performance venue by having like the biggest pop stars perform there.
okay, that makes sense, and I'm on board. That was not clear to me, the audience, at all.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think they pan out to show that it's the palace at the very end.
Again, but the palace doesn't have any distinctive looks other than
No,
awful.
it's got like a theater marquee on the outside.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't pan to the outside, it pans to the inside.
No, I'm saying at the very end of this
Oh,
scene
okay.
that we haven't gotten to.
I
But
hate
I'm just
this.
telling you that it's the palace.
This is the worst. Anyways, so whatever. They're dancing. It's a stupid song. I don't even know what song it is. They're in black leather. Lloyd is one of the backup dancers. He has normal hair now. It's not spiky, and it's like a regular color. This is a song about teams. This is a "you can go the distance" was the line that I caught from this.
You and me against the world. We can go the distance.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, Hercules. I know I want to go watch Hercules too. And it cuts to a magazine. Charlie and Katie have made the cover of Subwoofer magazine.
Maybe that's the only thing they could afford the branding to.
I don't think that's a real magazine. I think that's the only thing they could think of.
Oh boy.
Anyways, Finn is less popular now. People want his autograph less, and he's on less cool magazines.
He's on a magazine by himself and he's doing an interview and he's like, yeah, I know she wants me back. The song is still playing. And then it plans to Irma, who like leans over and sniffs Reginald's shoulder
Sneakily.
sneakily.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of people are like clapping along and there's a lot of like, oh, 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 kind of in the song where it's supposed to be like very exciting. And then we pan to Art and Andrew scrubbing toilets with toothbrushes while Diego smiles over them.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We do not. We pan to Art and Andrew scrubbing the same toilet. They're scrubbing one toilet together.
Yes.
Yeah, so Martha and Diego are running the palace. Art and Andrew get their comeuppance. And then we cut back to the performance. Charlie and Katie are finishing their song in unison, and my notes devolve into chaos and keyboard smashing again. Their voices sound horrible together. They sound so bad. They should not sing in unison. It's not that they're not singing the same notes, but some people's voices just have a different timbre to them, and they just don't sound good together. And these two people, oh my God, they do not sound good together. We've had other people that didn't sound good, but this is worse.
It didn't bother me that much, but like it was more like an absence of good than actively bad for me.
Okay.
They didn't add anything to each other's voices.
It was so bad.
And then, as if we haven't been punished enough, we go back to a voiceover from Sean that says, "So maybe life can be like a fairy tale after all? Question mark. Do you have a dream? Question mark. Do you believe? Question mark." And that's the end. And then there's credits. And there is more singing, more of that harmonizing song from the pawn shop at the piano. They just play the whole one for us during the credits.
Yeah.
But anyway, we did it. It's done. It's over. You okay, love?
I'm so mad. The piano never comes back. His mom's piano, they made such a big deal about it, and it
Oh my
never comes
god.
back.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Oh my god.
I hated it. I wanted the piano to come back so bad because I have a piano and I really like it, and I get that that's an important thing, and it's important to him, and he's giving all of his money that he has none of and it doesn't come back. It should have come
Mm-mm.
back. Like instead of the will, the place isn't his. It's Art's, but he's run it into the ground and he can't sell it and he just has to keep paying mortgages on it and it just goes under and he goes bankrupt. And with the money from his record, he buys his mom's piano and has a nice apartment, and him and Diego and Martha like live together and start their own club that does go well, and they start their own thing and they're not dependent on this place that has all of these horrible memories for him, and he gets his mom's piano and him and Katie play piano and
I
ukulele, and they do like ukulele piano folk music.
I just don't understand why we needed both the piano that was mom's and also the palace that was mom's so they could threaten the palace, but also he's tied to the piano.
And the
It was
ukulele.
confusing and dumb.
And the ukulele. Why was there a ukulele?
The ukulele's fine, Liv. It's fine that he has a ukulele.
It
He's
was
allowed to
just
have a ukulele.
it was just so distracting and random. It was just so weird. Okay, so this is the highs and lows part of the show. You have to go first.
Okay, well, I thought the moments with Finn, the like crappy boyfriend, were kind of funny. I got bored of it after a while. I was delighted at first, and it had diminishing returns for me. But I guess if there was something that I enjoyed at all, it was that.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I also did really enjoy Finn's performance.
And then for the low, my God, how can I pick one thing? I'm trying to think of what bothered me the most. And I
Yeah.
think what bothered me the most is how incongruent the music that played within the movie was to what they were trying to tell, like the story that they were trying to tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the music was bad, because like I didn't like it, but it was fine. It just didn't match what they were telling us about how we were supposed to feel about the music.
Oh yeah, they just screwed all of that up.
So there was such a disconnect between the performances and the plot that it really took me out of the story more than anything else did. But a lot of things took me out of the story. And it was a bad story, and I didn't mind being taken out of it. How about you? You got any highs?
Oh, absolutely. So my high is the bye bye boys, have fun storming the castle moment. That was the best. That was great. I loved it. That was phenomenal.
How about those?
My lows is 100% the girls just want pretty boys who are mean to them. Girls are weird like that. Because until
Ooh,
that line, I was still on the like, no, no, Charlie's okay. He's a likable character. I like this prince. He's certainly not my favorite, but like, he's okay. I don't have any problems with him. That line comes out of his stupid face. I'm like, no, hit the door, leave, leave.
it was incredibly unlikable.
It was. It would have been a great line for somebody else to have, and for him to be like, no, she's not like that. I know her.
Hmm.
There are so many things that this movie could have just. This movie made so many wrong decisions.
Yeah, like over and over again in like every step of production.
Indeed.
Like there was issues with the writing, there was issues with the casting, I think, There's
Mhm.
issues with the way they filmed it.
Mhm.
There's issues with the music. It's baffling to me.
So if you could make a single change to this movie, what would you change?
You mean other than all the changes that I want to make to the movie that I've spent a lot of time talking about? Okay,
Yes.
the single change that I would make for this movie is that I would have them hire me as an editor.
Okay, that qualifies. That's fair.
How about you?
Like, apart from everything, I would have liked to see what the palace looked like beforehand. I
Yeah.
think that would have been really helpful. I don't know. I would like to change the moment when Nickelodeon decided to produce this movie. And I would like to be in the room where it happens and say nope and make them do something else that we don't watch.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down. Okay, so we just have to build a time machine,
Okay.
and you go first. And if you can't stop it, then I'll go in and try to edit it. But we're counting on you. I'm just like the backup.
Okay, cool. And then
Okay.
I guess after that we go kill Hitler.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, you gotta.
Yeah, I mean obviously. All right. So I think we can just both agree that no one should ever watch this.
You guys shouldn't watch it. Even if you enjoyed listening to us complain about it, it's not good. It's not funny. You're not gonna have a good time.
It's not even like bad good. Good bad, whatever that is, it's not even that. You're not
It's
going to
just
have a good time enjoying how horrible this is. It's just unpleasant.
it's just bland, but also uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't watch it. I'm not gonna watch it ever again. Liv, are you gonna watch it
No,
ever again?
absolutely not. No,
Okay,
no, no, no.
great.
Grades.
So we're all in agreement. No one is ever watching this
Yeah.
ever again.
This should be deleted from the internet and from our collective consciousness. I would give anything to brain bleach this out of my head. So, final grades.
It's enough.
It
It's
sucks.
enough. It's just like it's such an absence of good.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I enjoyed in this. Even the things that I kind of liked the first time they
They get,
happened, they got worn out and they weren't good by the end.
yeah. The stuff that could have been okay, they did the wrong things with it. You cast the Old Spice guy and don't give him any funny lines. You have
Baffling.
you have a vapid, self-centered British boyfriend and don't have him have a mean line at the end. Like,
Or like a terrible, completely full of himself song.
yeah,
Could
or
you
like a,
imagine if we had a musical number
oh,
and that actor can sing?
I know. He's so good at singing. He doesn't sing.
I would have given anything to have like a performance by Finn that's just like all image, no substance, and is just like another nail in the coffin of how like vapid this entire
Or like
world that Katie's in
or
is.
like realize that that she's seriously breaking up with him and have a full-on man baby meltdown cry fight. Just like a full-on temper tantrum just to emphasize how unsuitable he is to be dating. That would be hysterical.
Or what if he dates like a different person at the end so he can still be on magazine covers, but it's just like an athlete or something? Like he just finds a new famous person to date because he wants to be famous and he doesn't actually want to make music ever.
Oh yeah. So all the things that I could have liked about this, they managed to ruin. They had a dog in there, a big fun dog, and did almost nothing with it. The dog is responsible for the meet cute, chews on a microphone, sits next to her while she writes a song for a 30-second scene, and helps get Charlie out of the closet by dragging the friends. There's no point to this dog. There could have been a not dog. So many things in this movie you just didn't need. She could have just bumped into him because humans exist in the time dimension and also the space dimension. The friends could have found him because they were bored and they were already going to be leaving the venue. They could have been walking up to being like, hey, let's go get a smoke on like the roof. So we have to walk past the closet that's upstairs. That's a real thing. People go and get smokes on roofs. There are so
I
many things
just
that just did not need to happen.
I think the dog was meant to illustrate that she's not like other pop stars. She's down to earth. Her dog isn't purse sized, it's a real dog.
Yep, but we also never see her play with it.
That's true.
Like she takes it on one walk and loses it instantly.
She also keeps bringing it to like music venues. Like,
Yeah,
I
which
don't
like,
know that you
hey,
should do that actually.
no, you should have your dog stay at home and just just it was terrible. We're done. We're finished. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Well, it is actually nearly midnight, so thank you for joining us. If you like this episode for whatever reason, somehow, please leave us a rating or a review. We'd love to hear from you, so follow us at CinderPod on Twitter and Instagram, like our Facebook page, or email us at thecinderellapodcast@gmail.com. If you want bibbity bobbity bonus episodes, or to hear us discuss this week's Cinderella, but with more adult questions, language, so much adult
So much
language,
language.
and
Ooh,
beverages.
so many beverages.
Join us in the Ever After Party at patreon.com/CinderPod. Our intro music is Bad Ideas by Kevin MacLeod. You can find him at incompetech.com. So, Liv, what are we watching next week?
I'm so glad you asked. Next week, we're traveling back in time, and we're going to watch a 15-minute Cinderella from 1907.
Beautiful, beautiful. More
Yes,
beautiful words have never been uttered.
silent film, short, no
Ah,
music. My heart is just bursting with joy.
well, until then, we hope you have a happily ever after.